Good afternoon, all of you. Perfect. And good afternoon, everybody online. Devashish, Mahendra, Sambhavi, and Divyanshi. Yahi rakh do. Thank you. Bottle yahan rakh do. Okay. So we get going. We start talking on the last part. We were discussing the talk on public sector reforms, and we had talked till that part on challenges of reform. So we build up on challenges of reform today. You write the first one, the first challenge. One, you write, it can result in undervaluation. It can result in undervaluation of public sector being sold. Public sector being sold, comma, which was alleged in case of Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited, which was alleged in case of Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited, VSNL. All right. I'll tell you what happened and what we are talking about. So the government sold a public sector company called Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited, VSNL, in 1998. And when they sold this company, the company was sold for around 1500 crore rupees, 1597 crore rupees. So then when an inquiry, when it was assessed by CAG, it was found that the amount of land which was transferred along with VSNL, and it was sold to Tata Group. Tata Teleservices is what it became. So the amount of land that was sold with VSNL to Tata Group was worth approximately 2000 crore. And the amount of spectrum that had been transferred with VSNL to Tata Group was worth another 1200 crore. So the company which should have been sold for something like 5000 crore was sold at 1600 crore. And when it was inquired as to why did you do it, why did you undersell the company, the answer given was that we sold it at the book value, account books value, and whatever was reflected in the account books, we sold it at that. What was not realized was that VSNL was given land for free, and it was given spectrum for free because it was a public sector company. So if we are selling VSNL, automatically it doesn't make sense that we sell it to a private company and give land and spectrum for free. You understand that? So this was the challenge that we saw happening in India. This was the case of VSNL. In the same thing, you write, the undervaluation results in harming the exchequer, EXCHEQUER. Exchequer is treasury of the government. So harming the exchequer by reducing the possible returns that it can have. Now, you write below that solution. How do we solve this problem? This is a challenge. So how do we solve this challenge? So you write solution. And with solution, you write, the government has started appointing investment banking firms for proper valuation of public sector to assure that no such loss arise in future. Okay. Then you write, so I'll tell you, it's a good thing that we are doing. The only thing is we need to continue doing it. It is not done in every sale that we have been doing. But again, it's a good thing we have been doing. Good in the sense that we are making sure there is an investment banking company. Investment bankers are experts in valuation, mergers, acquisitions. So in that case, they can value the product better and they can make sure that you are getting the right value for your company. It has one more advantage, remember, valuation. It will make sure that the government can fix a base price below which it doesn't sell the public sector in the market. That's another advantage that the government has, that it will fix a base price. What do I mean by that? Otherwise, what happens is when the private sector realizes that we are very few people controlling or bidding for the public sector, then all of them start bidding low so that we can get the public sector at a cheaper rate. If we have a base price fixed by an investment banker, this low bidding and trying to capture public sector at a low price will not happen. Do I believe I'm reaching you on this? So that's another advantage, all right? You just write, it helps in fixing a base price for public sector. It helps in fixing a base price for public sector. All right. Then you write second challenge. Challenge 2. It can result in creating lack of social security for workers in public sector, especially the vulnerable workers. These vulnerable workers are workers who are older, and therefore have higher pay grade in any work that they are involved in. Okay, I'll tell you what that means. These are workers who are in their last 10 years or 15 years of their job. Workers who can be 45 plus, 50 plus. So whether they are sweepers, whether they are helpers, whether they are managers, whether they are a CEO, anybody, if they are in the upper end of age group, it will mean they are working for the company for 15, 20 years, 25 years, and they will be in the higher pay grade. So there will be an incentive for the private firm to try replacing them. You understand that? That you somehow try getting rid of them and replacing them by younger workers who can work at a cheaper rate. All right, that can be one possibility. Put a comma. This is one vulnerable group of workers. Put a comma. Workers who can be replaced by machines. Workers who can be replaced by machines. That second group of vulnerable workers. Those workers who can be replaced by machines. All right. So again, these workers are vulnerable workers. Workers who can be replaced by machines. I'll tell you what one implies by that. When we say clerks or helpers or say sweepers, machines can easily start replacing them. And again, they become vulnerable because the firms might think, why take the whole headache of keeping a worker? Rather, let's replace this worker by a machine. All right. In the same thing you write. And workers who have special recruitment conditions. Workers who have special recruitment conditions like reservation, on any particular basis. Reservation on any particular basis. Again, the government may not approve, private may not approve of same benefits that the workers were getting in a reserved system. In a private sector, they may not get those reservation, they may not get those protection on promotions and all. So these are vulnerable group of workers. All right. So if we privatize a public sector, we are putting these vulnerable group of workers in a social security threat. So you write below that solution. A combination of policies should be used. A combination of policies should be used ranging from voluntary retirement scheme, in a bracket you can write VRS, comma, to rehabilitation and to negotiating a clause with the private sector that no worker can be removed up to a given time period. In fact, this last thing that I am saying, we have done it in case of Air India also, that we sold Air India to Tata Group, and during that sale we put a condition that no worker of Air India can be removed after privatization for next 18 months. That was a condition put while privatizing Air India, that no worker of Air India can be removed after privatization for 18 months. In fact, earlier we had privatized another company called Balco, Bharat Aluminium Company, and in that we had put a condition that no worker can be removed after privatization for 4 years. So we have been doing that. Now I'll tell you what are these three conditions. So one is when we offer voluntary retirement scheme, it means that we are telling people that it can be 8 years or 10 years or 12 years of your salary and you retire. All right, we will give it to you one time. आप अपने 8 साल की सैलरी एक साथ ले लो, साथ में अपने प्रोविडेंट फंड का कंट्रीब्यूशन भी ले लो और रिटायर कर जाओ. There is one thing that can be told to the workers that you take 8 years of salary, 10 years of salary, take your provident fund contributions and retire. Now in that case, those workers who are in the last 8 years of work or last 10 years of work can start planning it, that okay, we can take these 8-10 years of salary and we can retire. Also, some other younger workers can also choose it, assuming that they will get other work in other places in the industry. Second is rehabilitation. That is, wherever you fear that the worker will be replaced by machine, say clerks or drivers or cooks or PNs, you can shift them to other public sector wherever needed and they can be accommodated over there. That is called rehabilitation, shifting the workers to other public sector. All right, I am privatizing one public sector, I can shift the workers to other public sector to rehabilitate, work in that. And the third is, as I told you, negotiating a clause with the private sector that you cannot remove a worker. This clause is important because then in that case, workers will be sure that for some years I am not losing my job and I can adapt. But that's not the reason I'm saying it's important. Another reason why it becomes important is because the private company now knows that I cannot remove the worker. So the next best option is train them well so that they become useful for the company. And then they start training the workers, increasing the productivity of the workers, and therefore increasing more work opportunities. I'll give you an example. We did this research in case of Balco. By we, I mean me and my MIT team, around 8 years back. So we did this research in case of Balco. What we found was Balco was privatized in 2003, beginning actually, January. We privatized Balco. And Balco was privatized, sold to Sterlite company, Indal, Indian Aluminium Company. तो Balco को इनको बेच दिया गया. उसमें clause था that for 4 years you cannot remove any worker. All right. Now we found some interesting things. One thing we found was when Balco was privatized, Balco was employing 3,500 people. After 8 years of privatization, Balco was employing 4,300 people. So the employment had actually increased in Balco than reducing post-privatization because the company had expanded with more investments done and more efficiency developed. So that was one very interesting thing we found. Another interesting thing that we found in case of Balco was that 73 workers had left Balco and joined other companies after they had been trained by Balco and they became better off in productivity. All right, that Balco trained these workers, many workers of course were trained, but among these workers, 73 workers shifted to other companies to take other better opportunities after getting trained in Balco. So there are episodes, and then in fact something similar we found in case of Hindustan Zinc that we investigated, that okay, what has Hindustan Zinc done after privatization? So if I see what has happened post-privatization, in fact, similar things we see happening in Air India. Tata's did not want to retrain because Air India was overstaffed. So Tata's wanted to regularize it. So what did they do? They offered a huge VRS, 6 years of salary, plus all your provident fund contribution, and plus 2 years of remission program. Remission program is, if by chance you are not getting an alternative employment for 2 years, then the base salary will be given to you for the next 2 years. This was also a clause. Many people resigned from Air India and they joined others like Indigo or SpiceJet. So companies have seen this happening in India when it comes to being privatized and then how the workers have responded. So these are the ways in which government can formulate policies. There's one more reason that government needs to formulate these policies. Like I said last class, there will be workers in public sector who will believe they are entitled not to work. These will be the most vociferous opposition to privatization. सबसे ज़्यादा चिल्लाते रहेंगे ये. और चिल्ला के और लोगों को क्या बोलेंगे, तुम्हारी नौकरी जाने वाली है। ये नहीं कहेंगे मेरी नौकरी जाएगी, तुम्हारी नौकरी जाने वाली है, तुम्हारी भी नौकरी जाने वाली है, सबकी नौकरी चली जाएगी। और हम लोग मीडिया में और अपने नॉर्मल पार्लेंस में भी यही बात बनाते हैं, सबकी नौकरी चली जाएगी, सबकी नौकरी चली। पर आप सोच के देखिए, इफ अ कंपनी इज वर्किंग विद से 10,000 पीपल, इवन इफ इट इज प्राइवेटाइज्ड, obviously 10,000 jobs are not at stake. If I fire everyone, whom do I hire? What do I do? I can't work without workers. You understand that? So it is not that everybody's job will be at stake. It is possible that if the company is overstaffed, or if the workers show indiscipline, or if the workers are unproductive, or if the workers, as I told you, are in the vulnerable group, they are all are facing this vulnerability there. But other than that, it's not that everybody will be fired if a company is privatized. So we need to make sure that we should look for social security for that possibility of workers who might be fired. And we should tell those workers who are entitled workers, who believe my job is not to work, that now you learn how to work, or you shift to another company, and we have got a clause negotiated. You have 18 months or 2 years or 3 years to do that. Because that is the idea of making sure that you develop or you privatize your public sector wherever possible. I repeat again, I find it easier teaching it in economics optional because you guys have an economics training behind you. But I repeat again, our talk of privatization is not the only thing we are suggesting should be done. We are suggesting there can be autonomy given, there can be disinvestment without privatization, and then there can be privatization. All right, so there are various possibilities we can think about in case of reviving a public sector. But if it is a non-core, non-strategic activity, there is no logic why the government should continue with it, rather than not focusing on the core activity that they should focus more on. This should be your line of thinking, that if it is a non-core, non-strategic activity, government has already announced they will be quitting it. So then the sooner they do it, better it will be. Policy pronouncement will be taken care of. So take care of that in your answers. You should be reflecting this line of view. Niti Aayog talks like this. Economic surveys have talked like this. Even officially, at least the government talks like this. They don't walk the talk, that's another story. But you talk to the finance minister, she says we are committed to disinvestment. You talk to the commerce minister, he says we are committed to disinvestment. So people are saying we are committed to disinvestment, or privatization also. But end of the day, that should be the line that we are taking across. Yes, yes. Yes, but again imagine, why should government be making motor pumps when government has better things to do? Our law and order is such that somebody snatches your mobile phone, police will not write a complaint. Think about it. Our roads are such that there are more potholes than the road at times in many places in India. These are core activities of the government. It's like saying that we will train you better and we will give you 18 hours of training and we will prepare you for SSC and bank PO exam also, because in any case you are preparing for UPSC, a government exam. Rather train you better, do 18 hours of work and do better in UPSC exam, the civil services exam. Point is that if it's a non-core activity, non-strategic, because you know what this will do, I'll tell you why I generally don't approve of it. What our empirical evidence shows is, all these things end up just buying time. We have tried all these things in our country in one name or the other, but the biggest problem is, in a populist democracy, how do you make the workers work? That is the biggest challenge we have. We are a populist democracy. How do you make people work in this, especially in public sector? And then there can be corruption, which can make things worse, because then you are also hiring workers by taking money from them, and then they feel more entitled. Understand that. Why do you think the truck, I'm just disconnected, but an example I'm giving you. The truck drivers in a city, why do they drive so rash? They have paid money to the beat constable. They know very well I've paid money to the government. Who will catch me now? How dare you? बिकॉज नो एंट्री के वक्त तभी तो एंटर कर गए वो. So understand, our public sector has a serious issue, and that serious issue can be resolved only when we get rid of the non-core area. For core areas, you can still focus. अब कुछ लोग कहते हैं नहीं, इनमें भी प्रॉफिट लाने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए, इन पे भी ध्यान देना चाहिए. यही ध्यान देना, प्रॉफिट लाना, ये 70 साल से तो बात हो रही है. ये तो नहीं लाए, ला नहीं पा रहे हैं. अब भी ऑल्टरनेटिव क्यों ना सोचें? The point is that, and the alternative is very clear, that whichever is core activity we should pursue with the government and make sure government performs well. Whatever is non-core activity, in any case, why should government exist? तुम अपने आप से पूछो, तुम स्कूटर्स इंडिया के मैनेजर बनने थोड़ी जा रहे हो आईएएस बनने के लिए. सोच के देखना, why do you want to be an IAS? To be the CEO of भारत मोटर पंप्स? तो तुम कहोगे ना, फिर तुम्हें कंपनी मैनेज करना था, तब तुम्हें मैनेजमेंट करके और कॉर्पोरेट ज्वाइन कर लेता, सैलरी भी अच्छी मिलती. यही मैं कह रहा हूं कि आप कंपनी मैनेज करने नहीं जा रहे. सरकार का काम कंपनी मैनेज करना नहीं है. एक जमाना था जब लगा था ऐसा करना चाहिए और वो सही था. 1950s, if the government thought we should run public sector, I'm not at all challenging it was a bad thought. In those days, that is what we could have done because of the reasons we have already discussed. But this is 2024. So 2024's thinking has to be different from the thinking of 1950s. So when you say that we will do appraisal, 360-degree and all, now again, who will do the appraisal? Either get it done by third party and recommend they should be suspended. And then if they are not suspended, what is the whole locus standi of the third party now? Think about it. Finally, it comes to executing and taking action. And this is the challenge we have had, if you ask me, to a great extent. So transparency can come if government can focus on core sectors and be the arbitrator and the regulator in the non-core areas. I would always believe, with whatever Indian economy I have read in my life, that this is the way forward for India. Otherwise, the ideological love for public sector always remains with many people in their head. But that's just an ideological love. It's like saying you're seeing that things are not happening, but somehow believing, no, one day it can happen. One day it will happen. So this is something that, to be honest to you, unfortunately, there are many politicians and there are many people in India, in the so-called intellectual class, who actually believe in what I'm saying. The public sector can be turned around, and even the current government is trying to claim that it has been turned around with all the manipulated data that they are throwing at us. Because when they say it has been turned around, अभी भाषण दिया प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, और इसको अगेन पॉलिटिकली मत सुनना, मैं एक बात कह रहा हूँ. तो भाषण दिया प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, बोले कि पब्लिक सेक्टर का जो प्रॉफिट है वो 100, पब्लिक सेक्टर की जो वैल्यूएशन है वो हमारे टेन्योर में 100% बढ़ गई. जब हम आए थे तो 4 लाख करोड़ थी, अभी 8 लाख करोड़ हो गई. गलत नहीं कह रहे हैं, वो बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, 100% बढ़ी है. पर उनका टेन्योर शुरू हुआ 2014 में, 2014. Sensex was at 24,000 at that time. Today Sensex is at 71,000. So when the market capitalization has increased 3 times, public sector valuation has increased 100%. ये भी तो सोचने की बात है ना. अगर सोचो ये प्राइवेट सेक्टर में होता तो ज्यादा वैल्यू क्रिएट कर दिया होता अपने शेयर होल्डर्स के लिए, कि पूरा मार्केट बढ़ रहा है 200% पे और पब्लिक सेक्टर बढ़ रहे हैं 100% पे. तो हम क्या करते हैं, सिलेक्टिव नेट पिकिंग, वो व्हाइट पेपर जैसा और ब्लैक पेपर जैसा पिकिंग करते हैं. कि एक आदमी व्हाइट पेपर लाएंगे, एक ब्लैक पेपर लाएंगे, और दोनों क्या करेंगे, पर्टिकुलर प्लेसेस पिक करेंगे. वो कोई एकेडमिक एक्सरसाइज थोड़ी है, वो तो पॉलिटिकल एक्सरसाइज है. अभी बजट आने वाला है. कल मुझे कोई पूछ रहे थे, आई एम नॉट बीइंग डिसमिसिव, सो डोंट टेक मी नेगेटिवली, बट जब कह रहे थे अभी कल फार्मर्स मार्च करेंगे दिल्ली की तरफ और दिल्ली एंटर करना चाहते हैं, मैंने कहा करेक्ट, बेस्ट टाइम है ये. द क्रॉप हैज बीन सोन, फसल का बोना हो गया है, हार्वेस्टिंग मार्च से पहले होगा नहीं. 2-4 लोग चाहिए फसल को रखवाली करने के लिए. अब चलो दिल्ली चलते हैं. मई में इलेक्शन है, वैसे भी अप्रैल मई में प्रेशर भी डालेंगे सरकार पे, थोड़ा घूमना फिरना भी होगा. गांव बैठ के क्या करें, ऊपर से पैसा हमें ऑपोजिशन दे ही रही है वहां तक जाने के लिए, बस में बिठा बिठा के ले जा रही है, खाना पीना देखेगी, टेंट भी लगाएगी, दिल्ली भी देखेंगे साथ में. थोड़ा सा जो फ्रस्ट्रेशन भी है कि अर्बन लोग काफी, और ये मैं उनके लिए नेगेटिव नहीं कह रहा हूं, ये हमारे लिए नेगेटिव है, कि जो अर्बन लोग काफी बढ़िया जिंदगी जीते हैं और बड़े बड़े घरों में रहते हैं, और हमें देखो ये कष्ट वाली जिंदगी मिलती है. थोड़ा उनके यहाँ तोड़फोड़ मचा के भी आए, पता चलेगा हमारे कष्ट कितने हैं. ये हमारे यहाँ की नेगेटिव थिंकिंग हो जाती है. आप किसी भी फार्मर को बोलिए दिसंबर में चलने को जरा दिल्ली प्रोटेस्ट करने को, या नवंबर में चलने को? When there is a time to sow the crop, tell a farmer to go in November and go in December to protest in Delhi. Tell a farmer to go in March and protest in Delhi when there is harvesting season, and April. But you know what is the moral of the story? Not the farmers. Employ people productively. Otherwise, these protests, these marches, these kind of things will keep happening. This is lack of productive employment. भाई आप प्रोडक्टिवली एम्प्लॉयड नहीं है तो करे आपको अगर अभी कोई दोस्त आके बोले चलो धरना देते हैं, बोला यार प्रीलिम्स के बाद या प्रीलिम्स के दिन आता हूं, खत्म कर लेता हूं प्रीलिम्स, रात को आके पूरा धरना पे तुम्हारे साथ ही बैठूंगा. यू आर ऑक्यूपाइड, यू डोंट हैव एन ऑप्शन. इफ यू आर नॉट ऑक्यूपाइड यू विल से या कम लेट्स डू इट, बिकॉज अनऑक्यूपाइड माइंड्स आर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड माइंड्स ऑल्सो, दे डोंट हैव मच टू डू. So my point is that, and I'm not blaming the people who are unoccupied necessarily, I'm just saying that India should learn, especially the urban India and the rich India, that if we leave rural India behind, and if we leave the poor India behind, then that will become an automatic restriction to our growth. Growth, that is why, has to be inclusive. Growth cannot be non-inclusive. You know, जितने चीज आप देखते हैं वो परेशान है, कोई उनकी सुन नहीं रहा. किसी ने जाके बोल दिया चलो वहां सुना जाएगा अगर आप जाके हल्ला करोगे तो, और चलो हम स्पॉन्सर करते हैं तुम्हारा जाना. नेचुरल है, लोग चले आएंगे. तो आप समझिए ये बात, कुछ की जेन्युइन ग्रीवेंसेस भी होंगी. So we need to understand that how do we turn it around. Again, why do I say it in case of public sector? Supposedly, public sector was expected to bring balanced regional growth. You know, public sector was expected to create employment opportunities by expansion, not by overstaffing. They were expected to make profit and expand. Public sector was expected to reduce concentration of wealth in few hands. You understand that? But all that is not happening. If public sector is not reducing concentration of wealth in few hands, you know, क्योंकि 75 साल से पब्लिक सेक्टर है और अब हम कहते हैं इंडिया में इनइक्वालिटी बढ़ गई है, तो ये कम से कम इतना तो प्रूफ कर ही रहा है कि पब्लिक सेक्टर इज अनेबल टू रिड्यूस इनइक्वालिटी. ये बात जैसे ही मैं अपने दोस्तों को बोलता हूं जो लेफ्ट साइड पे, वो कहते हैं नहीं 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 ऐसी बात नहीं है, एक्चुअली पब्लिक सेक्टर को फंक्शन नहीं करने दिया गया इंडिया में. आई मीन फॉर 44 years इट वाज ओनली पब्लिक सेक्टर टिल 1991. तो इनइक्वालिटी क्यों नहीं खत्म कर पाए? तो हम लोग अपने प्रॉब्लम को फर्स्ट हैंड नहीं देखना चाहते, आइडियोलॉजिकल प्रिज्म से देखते हैं. So if you see the problem from ideological prism, you will get a wrong answer. If you see the problem as it exists, now you will say, sir, workers are entitled, you are continuously saying it. Why political parties don't highlight it? Why the ministers or etc. people don't talk about it? Who will take that risk in a country like ours? किसको वोट लूज करना है भाई? जो बोलेंगे पब्लिक सेक्टर वर्कर्स जो है वो गलत कर रहे हैं या गड़बड़ भी कर देते हैं. जैसे ही वो बोलेंगे, एक बहुत बार पहले, क्योंकि वो पॉलिटिशियन नहीं थे, तो मनमोहन सिंह जी ने इतना ही कह दिया था, जब पेट्रोलियम prices were rising and government was forced to increase the petroleum price. The current government was in opposition in those days. They started all the agitation again and said this is so wrong on government's part that they are increasing the petroleum price. And Manmohan Singh ji had given one statement, पैसा पेड़ पे नहीं लगता है. Money doesn't grow on tree. And all hell had broken loose. प्रधानमंत्री जी क्या बात कर रहे हैं, गरीब लोगों के लिए कह रहे हैं पैसा पेड़ पर नहीं लगता. कैसी कैसी अजीब अजीब बात है. और वो होना ही है, कम पढ़े लिखे लोगों का देश बनाएंगे तो ऐसे ही भुगतना पड़ेगा. ये मैं आपसे भी कहता हूं, मैं अपने बेटों को भी कहता हूं कि देश को पढ़ाइए लिखाइए बहुत और तरीके से पढ़ाइए. वो ABCD नहीं, ये सिर्फ तरीके से पढ़ाइए लिखाइए, नहीं तो आप भुगतेंगे और मैं भुगतूंगा. क्योंकि जो माइनॉरिटी में होते हैं वो खूब भुगतते हैं, वो रिलीजन हो, कास्ट हो, सेक्सुअलिटी हो या फिर एजुकेशन हो. लोग आपको समझेंगे ही नहीं. You know, जब लोग कहते हो होमोसेक्सुअलिटी इज अ डिजीज, व्हाई? बिकॉज होमोसेक्सुअलिटी इज इन माइनॉरिटी. नो, पीपल डोंट अंडरस्टैंड इट. दे थिंक नहीं 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 मेरे जैसे नहीं है तो डिजीज ही होगा इनको. तो ऐसे ही जब आप पढ़े लिखे हैं ना, आप भुगतते भी होंगे. अभी यूपीएससी की तैयारी कर ली ना 1 साल, अब भुगत रहे होगे. कुछ बात बोलते होगे, आधे लोगों को समझ नहीं आता होगा तुम क्या बोल रहे हो. You're talking from some other plane. नहीं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में असल क्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन? क्योंकि हमारे यहां तो अभी एमपी का इलेक्शन होगा, आप देखिएगा, एमपी का इलेक्शन होगा और उसमें जो कैंडिडेट होंगे वो आके भाषण देंगे, मैं आपके यहां बिजली लगवा दूंगा. लेकिन वो तो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन का काम है, ये तो काउंसलर को बोलना चाहिए. और जब काउंसलर का इलेक्शन होता है तो वो लोग आकर बोल रहे होते हैं आप देखिए हम लोगों ने बालाकोट किया. पर वो तो एमपी की बात है और लोग सभी में ताली मार रहे होते हैं। तो हम लोग वो लोग हैं हमें खुद ही नहीं पता किसका काम क्या है, कोई आके अपना कुछ बोलते हैं, हाँ किया तो सही। कितने लोग तो फेथ पे वोट देते हैं, ये आदमी ठीक लग रहा है, ये आदमी गड़बड़ लग रहा है। तो जो वोट मांगने वाले उनको क्या दिखना है, मैं ठीक लगूं भाई, कुछ गड़बड़ ना लगूं मैं। तो समझिए आप, अब ठीक किस बेसिस पे लगूं? आपकी बुद्धि पर। आपकी बुद्धि कितनी पता नहीं, लेकिन कम से कम एक कॉमन डिनोमिनेटर पे रहना है मुझे। I'm trying to, I just stopped and told you all this because I'm trying to answer a question which might have arisen in your mind, and you may not be asking this at times, that if we know these are the right things to do, why don't we take the action? Because the political economy will work not outside the prism of the socio-cultural system you are in. It just cannot work. आप एक बात सोच के देखिए, जैसे आज फैशनेबल है, फैशन वर्ड यूज कर रहा हूं क्योंकि बहुत लोग इसमें सिंसियरिटी नहीं समझते इस बात की, लेकिन बोलते हैं बोलने के लिए क्योंकि उनको पता है इससे बढ़िया इमेज बनेगी मेरी। तो आज फैशनेबल है कि विमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात की जाए, तो सब लोग विमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करते हैं, लेकिन कितने लोग विमेन एम्पावरमेंट पे एक्शन लेने की बात करेंगे? कितने गर्ल्स होंगे जो फुट पुट, गर्ल्स की बात कर रहा हूं, बॉयज को तो छोड़िए, चलिए मान लिया कि मेल्स जो है वो नहीं समझते। कितने गर्ल्स होंगे जो लायक होने के बाद भी फुट पुट डाउन करेंगे कि डाउरी नहीं देना, भाई भिखारी से शादी नहीं करनी मुझे। मैंने लव मैरिजेस में डाउरी एक्सचेंज होते देख लिया। इट वॉज शॉकिंग टू मी, आई यूज्ड टू थिंक दैट्स अ पेनाशिया। मुझे हमेशा लगता था कि अच्छा लव मैरिज करेंगे लोग तो थोड़ी डाउरी लेंगे क्योंकि वो तो प्यार के चलते शादी कर रहे हैं। फिर मुझे लगा अच्छा प्यार बहुत तरह का होता है So people exchanging dowry in a love marriage, but why doesn't the girl put the foot down and says, why are you asking for a dowry? You claimed that you loved me. Where is all this coming from? But I've seen even girls interested in it because they say, हम तो घर से चले जाएंगे, बाकी तो सारा प्रॉपर्टी भाई को मिल जाएगा, हम जो कुछ ले जा सकते हैं अभी ले जा सकते हैं। ये माइंडसेट के यूथ क्या ग्रो करेंगे? ये कहां से इमेंसिपेट होंगे और कौन सी विमेन एम्पावरमेंट आएगी फिर? तो ये आपसे कह रहा हूं मैं, that this is the society we have around ourselves. We have to educate that society to make sure we understand the true meaning of freedom, of emancipation, which is the dangerous aspect. Just keep it in mind. Yes, yes. See, once you bring in a reform like this, that you can call back your elected leader, your politicians become doubly conscious not to do things which can result in a recall. Make it a 51% recall. It's very difficult to get 51% votes in this country. Hardly anybody has got this. Make it a 51%, that from a constituency, 51% people should vote in favor of the recall. You know, make it a little strict. But believe me, unless we see, what is the challenge? If we keep doing things the way we are doing, then the progress is difficult. Believe me, we undermine our own people. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा था, if I made that kind of logical sense to you, I'm sorry. मैं ये बिल्कुल नहीं कह रहा हूँ फार्मर्स को अकल नहीं है या जो पढ़े लिखे उनको अकल नहीं है। अब याद कीजिए जो मैंने आपको डेवलपमेंट में पढ़ाया, मेरी रैशनैलिटी इस बात पे डिपेंड करेगी कि मेरे बेनिफिट में क्या चीज जा रही है। ये जो मैंने आपको कहा कि आप जब हम उन पर किसी पे हंसते हैं कि वो ब्लैंकेट लेके वोट करते हैं, हम सबके अपने अपने ब्लैंकेट हैं जिसको लेके हम वोट करते हैं। सो आई एम नॉट एट ऑल सेइंग दैट दे आर नॉट एजुकेटेड मींस they are not understanding, but their understanding then becomes a prisoner of their own benefits. So what needs to be done? What needs to be done is make the electorate understand that this is for your betterment. I'll give you a very good example. I was talking to Shadab today. He's a friend of mine from Pakistan, and we were chatting today morning. Imran Khan has done that to Pakistan's population. He has to a great extent educated them what is good for them. This has never been seen in history of Pakistan that army cannot win the election. उनके आर्मी पे वो लोग जोक बनाए हुए थे that they cannot win any war but they will win every election. वॉर कभी जीती नहीं, इलेक्शन कभी हारी नहीं. They would make a joke. And now they are losing an election, at least prima facie. So that is what right understanding and good leadership can do to people, that people will go across party lines, they will go across things and tell, people are not fools, believe me. We condescendingly think they are fools, then they think, okay, you think we are fools, and you have the power in your hand, so what is it that we can extract from you, given that the actual benefit in any case you will not give us? You understand that? So this is the challenge we create. This is the aspect that we have. Anyways, let's take this up. Then you write third point. So keep it in mind. I was answering a question on public sector performance, but just keep it in mind that end of the day, non-core, non-strategic area, we should not be there. Just that should be your thinking. Yes, yes. Impact the. Let me reach there and I'll teach you, but we are expecting that the logistical cost should come down in India. So time reduced is good for logistics, no? Yeah, but that doesn't mean that two people cannot drive for 16 hours. It will be like that. All right. Okay. Then you write the next point, third, you write the proceeds of disinvestment might be used for proceeds from disinvestment might be used for populist activity, rather than for alternative asset building. Okay, that's another challenge we have, that we may use disinvestment to meet our fiscal deficit, and that fiscal deficit may not be because of high capital expenditure, it may be because of high revenue expenditure, and that high revenue expenditure can be of increasing salaries without productivity, or giving freebies to people which are not suitable for their upliftment. All these are possibilities that might happen. That disinvestment creates money in the hands of the government, and the money can be misused. So the solution is, again, the government has done it partially. They have not done it entirely, but partially. So you write solution. All proceeds of disinvestment should be transferred to National Investment Fund, so that it can be used only for asset creation in the economy. After a full stop, you write, government has passed a rule regarding transfer of funds to National Investment Fund subject to approval by Finance Ministry. Now, this is the catch. Subject to approval by Finance Ministry. This catch should not be there. All funds should be transferred automatically. Why approval by Finance Ministry? Transfer the money, use it for investment purposes. All right, this is again a challenge that we see under disinvestment. Then you write fourth point. Okay, I have a question that won't it be loss making to the company to give their employees 8 to 10 years of salary? Sometimes it is not very loss making because you shed your workforce, which would have cost you much more in future, because these salaries will have increments also attached in future situation. Another question I'm asked is that in budget did government announce 50,000 crore disinvestment target? No. Some newspapers have wrongly reported it. I don't blame them. They are limited in their understanding. Government has said 50,000 crore capital receipt, not from recovery of loan and not from borrowing. All right, that is what the government has said, that we have targeted 50,000 crore as non-borrowing capital receipt. Now this non-borrowing capital receipt can be asset monetization, it can be dividend received from the public sector company, it can also be dividend received from RBI, it can also be the money received from disinvestment, it can also be money received by leasing out some road or some other things. So remember, non-debt capital receipt does not necessarily mean only disinvestment. So government has said 50,000. In fact, Mr. Tuhin Khan, the Secretary Deepam, the organization responsible for disinvestment, has been on record interviewed in most of the newspapers saying, we have no fixed target for disinvestment this year because we don't want to have a target. We will do it as and when we find it suitable. So remember, 50,000 crore is not the target for disinvestment. I have also read it in some of the newspapers that they say that they have set a target of disinvestment. No, 50,000 crore is not, it is the target for non-debt capital receipt except recovery of loan. So your capital receipts are either you borrow debt, or you recover your past loan, or you recover it from other means like disinvestment or asset monetization. You see that? So there are different means of doing it. So this is not necessarily disinvestment that they are talking about. And in any case, this is going to be a year, I just hope and I pray that we maintain our growth momentum. But take my words, the first quarter of this year won't be very healthy, won't be very huge from good growth prospect. I have a very simple reason for that. From March, the model code of conduct will come into picture, assuming elections are announced in around March, April. So from March, the model code of conduct comes into picture, and till June, the government won't be in place. And after it is in place, it will take, assuming even if the same party wins power, still it will take 20 days regarding haggling of cabinet portfolios, etc. And then finally it will start functioning from first week July. The new budget will come sometime second week July. If some new political power emerges as the leadership, then another month. Because then everybody will first haggle as to who will be the prime minister. Because right now they are not clear about what's happening exactly. So we are in days of uncertainty right now. More importantly, March, April, May and June, the government won't be functioning as much or at the speed at which we would like it to. And don't forget, India has huge share of government directly and indirectly, directly in terms of public sector, directly in terms of government departments, and indirectly in terms of the decisions of the government influencing people. It will be all at a halt. 4 महीने के लिए गवर्नेंस हॉल्ट पे आ जाती है हमारे देश में, वो क्रूज कंट्रोल मोड में चल रहा होता है. 4 महीने 1 साल की अगर निकल जाएं तो फिर आप कितना ज्यादा और तरक्की कर सकते हैं उस पे फिर सोचने की बात हो जाती है. 2019 को आप याद करिए, एक लो ग्रोथ ईयर था, 3.9%. One big reason was 3-4 months we lost with a lot of elections coming in, and there were other reasons, of course, I'm not denying that. But every election year I have seen this pattern, whether it is 2009, whether it is 2014, 19, 4, that it does take a beating by at least a percentage point, the growth. I hope I'm proven horribly wrong on this. and we grow better. But this is something we will have to also remain watchful about. Again, it's not necessary it comes, right? But normally it does happen in our country. All right, because अभी ये बहुत सरचार्ज एटमॉस्फेयर होगा. अब सोचिए जितने मंत्री जी लोग होंगे बहुत सारे, वो काफ़ी घूमेंगे अभी जगह जगह अपने जो स्पीचेस हैं, प्रोग्राम्स हैं वो करने के लिए, तो ऑटोमेटिकली काम करने का टाइम कम रहेगा. ये बहुत ऑटोमेटिक है. वो जनवरी आ गया, अभी फरवरी आ गया रादर, सबको पता है अप्रैल में इलेक्शंस हैं. तो अगर कोई बोलेंगे सर ये फाइल है, फाइल रुक जाओ भाई, अगली बार आता हूँ तो साइन करूँगा. तो आपके जो ब्यूरोक्रेट है वो भी समझने लगते हैं कि अभी सर बिजी हैं थोड़े और कामों में, तो कुछ वो धीरे चलती ही है बात, नॉर्मल सी बात, इट विल गो स्लो. सो दैट इज वेयर व्हाट वी आर एंटरिंग राइट नाउ. So till March, I'm still expecting that the model code of conduct is not there. So new policies will be announced, and deliberately government will work quickly to show their work to the people. So I'm not suspecting any lack of growth in January, February, March, but I have a suspicion about April, May, June, that how fast we will grow. This is also we need to keep in mind in a system like ours. Okay. Then you take, and there's one more question online that I'm asked, that should we make a minimum criteria of education for politicians? No. Education should be about a field. You don't need Sachin Tendulkar to be a PhD or a diploma or anything. He was a 10th pass person, but he was more than a PhD in cricket. So it should be about your field, whether you are educated or not. Then you have people around you who will educate you. So it's good if a politician is educated, but that's not a big harm if the politician is having at least the basic knowledge of how democracy functions at grassroots. That is what they should have, the pulse of the people. That is their job. So whenever somebody tells you whether they should be educated, do you think degree matters? Well, you can have politicians with very good degrees who can do pretty horrible for themselves. And you can have politicians with not such great degrees, but they do pretty well for the country. So it is not important that what kind of degree a politician has. Again, if the person is educated and understands things, great. But grassroots politician is the key. Pulse of the people पता है या नहीं? उनको फिर पता होता है एक्शन क्या लेना है मुझे, क्योंकि उनको कोई बेवकूफ नहीं बना सकता ये कह के कि सर मुझे लगता है अगर आप ऐसा करेंगे तो ये हो जाएगा. They are sitting down, they know what the people think. They have come from within the people. The problem happens when somebody is top down. पैराशूटेड पॉलिटिशियंस बोलता हूं जिनको मैं, कहीं ऊपर से आके बैठ गए किसी के बच्चे होने की वजह से या कोई फेमस आदमी होने की वजह से. अब जैसे अमिताभ बच्चन जी इलेक्शन लड़े, वो पैराशूटेड पॉलिटिशियन थे. राज्यवर्धन राठौर पॉलिटिशियन जब पहली बार इलेक्शन लड़े, पैराशूटेड पॉलिटिशियन थे. वो लोगों के बीच में थोड़ी काम किए, वो तो पैराशूटेड थे. संबित पात्रा पैराशूटेड है. ये लोगों के बीच में थोड़ी जा रहे हैं. लोगों के बीच में जाना एक अलग बात होती है. तो वो जब आप 10 साल 15 साल 20 साल की पब्लिक लाइफ करते हो, वो एक अलग ही डोमेन होता है. तो ये आप समझिएगा. लाइक आई हैव बीन टीचिंग ऑलमोस्ट मोर देन हाफ ऑफ माई लाइफ. ग्रेजुअली नाउ आई एम रीचिंग देयर दैट आई एम टीचिंग नाउ. तो ये पढ़ाते पढ़ाते ये समझ में आता है कि आपके क्या रिक्वायरमेंट्स होंगी, क्या नहीं हो सकती हैं, कहाँ सही हो सकती है बात, कहाँ नहीं हो सकती है. बट अ लॉट ऑफ इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्सपीरियंस दैट आई गॉट बाय टीचिंग. Initial 2-3 years I didn't know. I had a degree, but that was very different. I used to teach a lot by my instinct. Now I teach a lot by my design. I have it all fixed here. What should be done? When should a pause be taken? When should a break be given? So it's all by practice. So and I have always preferred taking doubts, preferred talking to my students after the class, before the class, preferred because that allowed me to know the minds better. And then I could understand things around me much better. तो हर प्रोफेशन पे ये बात ट्रू है. आप ब्यूरोक्रेट बन जाइए और अपने ऑफिस में रहकर साइन मारते रहिए, आपको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा ज्यादा. ये मैं आपको टिप दे रहा हूँ, एक ब्यूरोक्रेट ने ही मुझे दिए. मेरे ग्रैंडफादर जो थे वो बोलते थे मैं अपने ऑफिस में राउंड मारता था, हमेशा घूमता रहता था. कभी किसी को खाने पे बुला लेता था, कभी किसी के घर वैसे ही पहुंच जाता था. अब पता नहीं आज की डेट में वो कितना पॉसिबल है, पर बाबा बोलते थे कि वो हमेशा ऐसा करते थे. बोलते मैं पहुंच जाता था, बातें करता था और नॉर्मल बातें करता था. उनसे ये नहीं बोलता था मैं तुम्हारा ऑफिसर हूँ, तुमसे मिलने आया हूँ. ऐसी बातें करने आ गया हूँ, बोर हो रहा था घर पे, अकेला क्या ही करता. और बोले तब ऐसी ऐसी बात लोग बताते थे जो वैसे मुझे कभी नहीं बताते. So then I would get to know many things, and then I could take a better informed action on what has to be done, than rather than what I would have done otherwise. So it's a lot of things. So education is not, your degrees don't matter. What matters is whether you understand the work you are in or not. So that is very important. मैं ये बिल्कुल नहीं कह रहा हूँ एजुकेशन इज़ नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट। मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि देश में प्रधानमंत्री, मुख्यमंत्री, वित्त मंत्री ये बनाते वक्त आप ये ज़्यादा देखिए कि जो पॉलिटिकल क्लास के लोग हैं उनको लोगों का पल्स, जिनको लोगों का पल्स पता होता है वो लोगों को ट्रस्ट करके चलते हैं, वो पीपल सेंटर्ड पॉलिसी बना सकते हैं। जो पढ़े लिखे हम और आप होते हैं, हम में से मैक्सिमम लोग, फिर हमारी पढ़ाई हमें एक ही तरह से सोचने की तरफ डालती है ना। हम कितने लोग हैं जो पढ़ लिख कर मल्टीफेरियस सोचते हैं? आप सोच के देखिए। तभी मैंने जब तुम्हें बोला कि गांव के लोगों पे कंबल के लिए हंसते हैं और हम खुद अपनी चीजें मांगते हैं, शहर के लोग रियलाइज भी करते हैं ये बात, बोलते हुए कितने शान से बोलते हैं, अरे वो लोग तो कंबल के लिए वोट करते हैं। रियलाइज ही नहीं करते, मैं भी कंबल के लिए करता हूं, मेरा कंबल अलग है। तो ये समझा रहा हूं, एजुकेशन, having an education, great idea, but making it a criteria to be something in this country, for anything, इसलिए मैंने तुम्हें सचिन तेंदुलकर का एग्जाम्पल दिया। नहीं है वो एजुकेटेड, पर इसका ये मतलब थोड़ी है कि उनको अकल नहीं हुई, खेले नहीं ठीक से। कुछ चीजें आपने सेंस से करते हो, आपको पॉलिसी बनानी है, आपको पॉलिसी एग्जीक्यूट नहीं करनी, वो एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए ही तुम लोग नियुक्त किए जाओगे। पर आपको यह सेंस होना चाहिए कि मेरा ब्यूरोक्रेट मुझे सही बात बता रहा है या झूठ बोल रहा है। वो सेंस तभी होगा जब आपका एयर्स ग्राउंड पे रहेंगे, जब आप लोगों के बीच में से आएंगे, लोगों से मिलेंगे, और लोगों से वैसे मिलेंगे जहां वेर यू आर अ पीपल्स लीडर, नॉट दोज फैब्रिकेटेड थिंग्स दैट आई सी मेनी पीपल डूइंग इन आवर कंट्री टुडे। आज मैं दलित के घर में खाना खाऊंगा, वो ऑर्गेनाइज्ड फूड पार्टी नहीं। सच में अगर आप चले जाएं और बात करें, जब मैं जाता हूं अपने गांव में, मुसहर हैं हमारे गांव के सबसे ज्यादा डाउन ट्रॉडन, जब उनके घर जाके खाता हूं तो ऐसे थोड़ी होता है जैसे मैं नेताओं को जाके खाते देखता हूं। चाय बनाने के लिए चूल्हा ही नहीं घर में, बाहर जाए चूल्हा घर के, फिर बाहर जाते हैं, पत्ती लाते हैं, चाय बनाने में उतना टेंशन है उनके घर में, कभी कभी चाय पत्ती ही नहीं है। मैं तुम्हें अपनी बात बताता हूं, मैं अपने गांव जाता हूं, चाय पत्ती दूध लेकर जाता हूं उनके घर में, भाई आज तुम्हारे साथ चाय पियेंगे। बहुत दिन तक तो मालिक बोलते थे, मालिक आप ऊपर बैठे हो। मालिक कब क्रिकेट खेलते थे बच्चे में, मालिक बोलते थे तुम बैठो भी, यहां बैठ के चाय पीते हैं। चाय के पैसे नहीं उनके पास, और वो पॉलिटिशियन को खाना खिला रहे हैं, दलित भोजन किया फलाने जी ने। सोच के देखो, ये पब्लिक फोटो ऑप्स हैं, उनको पता। लेकिन जो सच के नेता होते थे या आज भी होते हैं, जो अगेन मैं रिपीट करूंगा, जो ग्रास रूट से हैं, उनको ग्रास रूट पे लोग, मुलायम सिंह जी की डेथ हुई, उनकी पार्टी तो पॉलिटिकल पावर में भी नहीं थी, कैसे इतनी भीड़ इकट्ठा हो गई? Why so many people gathered? He was from the grassroots. अखिलेश जी के वक्त नहीं होगी इतनी भीड़ इकट्ठा, मैं आपको गारंटी देता हूं। ग्रासरूट पॉलिटिक्स एक अलग ही चीज होती है, तुम्हें एजुकेट कर देती है लोगों की मासेस की क्या दिक्कतें हैं। कभी कभी हम एज एजुकेटेड तो जानते ही नहीं कि उनकी क्या दिक्कत। मैं तुम्हें एक एग्जांपल देता हूं, जीएस क्लास में दे चुका होता हूं ये एग्जांपल, आप में कुछ लोगों ने सुना होगा मुझे। वी गिव फ्री एजुकेशन, वी गिव meals in the school, we give free uniforms also sometimes, we also sometimes give the girl child money to come to school, and still we have dropout rates from school after 8th standard. Why does that happen, think? We give them the typical middle class solutions. पढ़ाई सस्ती कर दो, किताबें फ्री कर दो, यूनिफॉर्म फ्री कर दो, खर्चा बच जाएगा तो स्कूल आ जाएंगे, ये सोच है। क्यों? हम जानते ही नहीं उनकी असली दिक्कत क्या है। If I am coming to school and I am coming to a school from a family where both my parents are illiterate, none of them know anything. Now I come to school, the first day teacher teaches me ABC, so I come back home and I tell my parents, I learned ABC today. And my parents hug me. They say, wonderful, great. तुम भाई फैमिली में पहले आदमी हो जो कुछ लिखता है, बहुत चमत्कार किए तुम, और लिखो, write more, practice more, be a bada aadmi, become a big person studying. Education is emancipation. I'm given all these lectures, I'm studying even hard, I'm a 5-year-old, don't forget. Next day I go to the school, my teacher tells me, kid, B is actually like this. And I will teach you 1, 2, 3 today. And I will teach you a vernacular, Hindi, Tamil, Oriya, Bangla, Urdu, whatever. But I'll teach you a vernacular today. Now I'm reading vernacular, I'm reading English, I'm reading maths. I have no background, my parents have no background. My 3 sometimes looks like this, and my 4 sometimes looks like this, and I'm corrected by my teachers. My class is laughing at me. What kind of mistake? आप याद करिए बचपन में ये मिस्टेक हम सब करते हैं. फिर कोई ऐसे पकड़ता है ना, बेटा ऐसे होता है. Somebody does it for us. But this kid has nobody to do it to him or to her. But this kid keeps coming to school for a midday meal and keeps coming to the school for maybe some friends around and maybe in the hope that I will become a big person getting educated. Then it becomes second standard. Second standard life is tougher. Now the numbers are becoming plus and minus. The letters are becoming spelling. The vernacular is throwing a challenge of reading a poetry and learning it. The kid is all at sea, doesn't understand anything what's happening. The kid is struggling more and more. Now the teachers are losing their faith, and they're losing their patience. Get out of my class, stand up on the bench. People like you are a disgrace. तुम तो मेरा जान लेने के लिए जन्म लिए हो. ऐसा सारा बात बोलेंगे उस बच्चे को. It's a small kid. The kid is gradually losing confidence. Now the kid starts sitting at the back, continuously insulted. और वो अकेला नहीं है, उसके जैसे 4-5 हैं. But they form a nice group together now. They start coming to the school only at the midday to take the meal and go back. The teachers are still insulting. The classroom is laughing at them. And finally they reach 5th, 6th standard, 7th standard. Now they are a little more robust. They come back home one day. The teacher has again insulted them. They say, I'm not going to school from tomorrow. The parents say, please go. Look, you will become a big person. But the teacher has told them for 10 years now or 8 years now that you are a good for nothing. Parents say, go, you will get a midday meal. They say, I have arranged my midday meal. I have talked to the local restaurant owner. I will wash his utensils and he will give me not only midday meal, but even night meal. And I will also get salary from him. I'm not going to school from tomorrow. The parents are illiterate. Parents are poor. They say, oh, what more we could have done. We tried training this kid to go to school. गया भी 5वीं 6ठी तक, पता नहीं क्या हुआ. लौट के आके बोला जाऊंगा ही नहीं. हम भी क्या कर सकते थे. And what does the middle class say? The middle class will say, क्या करें इन लोगों के लिए और कि ये स्कूल है, फ्री पढ़ाते हैं, फ्री मील देते हैं, तो भी ये लोग स्कूल नहीं आ सकते. कैसे लोग हैं पता नहीं. कैसे लोग हैं देख लीजिए. So this is middle class solution to a poor's problem in spite of being wonderfully educated. So understand, education doesn't give you the whole understanding at times. और वहीं एक middle class बच्चे के साथ सोचिए क्या होता है. हम लोग जब बच्चे थे, बिल्कुल इसका opposite ना. Second standard, first standard, we come back from school. One of the parents are surely around and they ask us, did you get a homework today? Homework? Show me your diary. वो खोल के देखा, oh, you have to learn a poem. चलो भाई, खाना खाओ, poem learn करने बैठो. I thought I will sleep. Sleep क्या होता है? बैठ जाओ. After food, poem now. रटवाया poem, 2-3 पढ़ी उस process में. Learn the poem, खैर पिट पिटा के poem थोड़ा याद हो गया. बोले अब सो जाओ. सो गए. सोकर उठे, अपना बल्ला उठाया. Pick up our bat. Where are you going? I thought I'll play poem. Then the poem happens again for 1 hour. Now go play. I go to play. I come back. Okay, wash your feet, wash your hand, come back, take your food, sit down, poem. फिर poem चला 1-2 घंटे. फिर मेरी पढ़ी उस poem में. कभी कोई वर्ड भूल रहा हूँ, कभी कोई वर्ड भूल रहा हूँ, मुंडी पकड़ के हिला रहे हैं, सब हो रहा है, लेकिन poem भी याद हो रहा है धीरे धीरे. Abhi by night I am comfortable in the poem. I have learnt it all, mugged up, everything in my head. Before going off to sleep at night, एक बार बोल के सो भाई. फिर बोल दिया, सुना दिए, सो गए. अगले दिन सुबह सुबह उठे, they are leaving us at bus stand or leaving us to school, बोलता रहे. बोलते हुए गए, हम अपना रास्ते में बोलते बोलते जा रहे हैं, हाँ poem सुनाना है. Now the teacher comes in, class, have you learned the poem? I am fully prepared, sir. Sir says, okay, speak. I speak the poem. And I speak verbatim. कल से रटा ही रटा है, कुछ किया ही नहीं कल से लाइफ में. और अब टीचर मेरे तरफ देख रहे हैं पूरे प्राइड के साथ. क्लास, you should learn something from him. What a student. Now the teacher leaves the class. The class surrounds me. How come you knew? I will never tell them I was thrashed 10 times yesterday. I knew. मैं वो तेज वाला बच्चा हूँ, मुझे पता है. But you know what it does? It gives me confidence. It makes me feel wanted. Now I am coming to school every day. I am the good wala bacha in the teacher's eyes. The teacher is telling me that, okay, I'll make you a prefect. Sometimes even if I am not a prefect, the teacher is telling me, beta, can you carry my books to the room? Yes, sir. अरे, ये तो शान की बात है. मैम का किताब लेके साथ साथ चलना है. I do all that. And by the time I reach 6th, 7th standard, now I am worried, why am I not coming first? So the confidence taken from that kid has been nicely transfused inside me, and 15 years later I will claim, अरे मैं पढ़ने में actually शुरू से ही तेज था. मुझे कभी रियलाइज ही नहीं होगा कि मैं पिट पिटा के बाकियों की तरह ही पढ़ा ऊपर जाया, लेकिन मुझे आदत दिला दी गई पढ़ने की. तो मैं तेज नहीं था, मुझे तेज बनाया गया. किसी की मेहनत से, किसी के धक्का मारने से मैं तेज बना, नहीं तो तेज था नहीं मैं. कोई नहीं होता तेज इस दुनिया में. तो ये आपको समझा रहा हूं दैट मिडिल क्लास टीचर्स देयर चिल्ड्रन और अपर मिडिल क्लास, दीज आर द फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल, ट्यूशंस आर अवेलेबल, हेल्प्स आर अवेलेबल. फॉर द लोअर क्लास चिल्ड्रन, इनकम ग्रुप, इट्स नॉट अवेलेबल. बट द मिडिल क्लास bureaucracy, middle class political system never understands it, and we try finding the middle class solution for the lower class issues. So understand it like that. जब तक हम ये बातें नहीं समझेंगे, हम एजुकेशन को, मुझे ऐसा लगता है जरूरत से ज्यादा, एजुकेशन क्या है? अप्लाई करने की ताकत. हमारा एजुकेशन अप्लाई करना कहां सिखाता है? सोच के देखो, अप्लाई करना तो सिखाया नहीं हमें. हम तो साइंस के एक्सपेरिमेंट भी जब प्रैक्टिकल लिख रहे होते हैं अपने 10th में और 12th में, तो हमें रिजल्ट्स याद होते हैं. प्रिज्म का फोकल लेंथ 1. अब प्रिज्म चाहे जो मर्जी फोकल लेंथ दे रहा हो, अपना उसको आगे पीछे किया, लिखा 1 फोकल लेंथ आ गया मेरा, मैंने निकाल लिया. बड़े से बड़ा साइंटिस्ट नहीं निकाल सकता जो हम 10th में निकाल देते हैं, क्योंकि हमें उसकी एक्यूरेट वैल्यू पता होती है, जो हम बुक से रट के आए हुए हैं. हमें बस बता दिया गया है ये एक्सपेरिमेंट है तुम्हारा, हम प्रूफ करके दिखा देते, ये याद कर दिया हमने. तो उसमें अप्लाई कहां किया कुछ? तो आप ये समझ के रखिए दैट अनलेस वी डोंट अप्लाई आवरसेल्व्स, वी डोंट गेट. तो इसीलिए एजुकेशन बहुत ओवर वैल्यूड हो जाता है कभी कभी. और ये नहीं कह रहा हूं एजुकेशन इज अनइंपॉर्टेंट, बट एजुकेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, लिटरेसी इज नॉट द ओनली थिंग. We focus a lot on making people quantifiably literate. We should focus on making people qualitatively educated. That is the challenge that India faces. So always, and I'm saying it with all responsibility, तुम अपने answer sheet में भी ये लिख सकते हो, that the focus should shift from quantity-based literacy to quality-based education. That is what the focus should be on. Good institutions, good training does that. Okay, let's now take it to below this point. एक और बात की आप मुझे जवाब दीजिए. यस यस रोहित. Yeah, in fact Charan Singh ji had proposed a 60%. Yeah, possible, but you know what is the psychology sometimes that is at work? When the lower class people uplift themselves, they stop attaching themselves in many cases to the lower class. I have seen many people from Bihar who don't acknowledge they are from Bihar. मेरे एक मित्र हैं, किसी बात पे बात हो रही थी, तो उन्होंने कहा, मैं जब आया था, मैंने कहा मैं कौन होता है भाई? हम लोग तो हम बात करते हैं, तुम भी बिहार से हो, मैं भी हूं, तो क्यों मैं कर रहे हो? वो अटैच ही नहीं कर पा रहे थे कि भाई अब दो लोग हैं. आप सोच के देखिए, अगर आप दो लोग तेलंगाना से हैं तो आप अपने नेटिव लैंग्वेज ही तो बात करेंगे. आप दो लोग तमिलनाडु से हैं तो तमिल ही तो बोलेंगे. तमिलनाडु के दो लोग आपस में हिंदी क्यों बोलेंगे? महाराष्ट्र के दो लोग आपस में हिंदी क्यों बोलेंगे? मराठी बोलेंगे, दोनों को आती है. बंगाल के दो लोग बंगला बोलेंगे, दोनों को आती है. तो लेकिन आप देखेंगे बिहार से कुछ लोग आते हैं, वो भूल जाते हैं, वो सडनली कोट अप कर लेते हैं, वो बोलेंगे नहीं, वो पहचानने से ही मना कर देंगे. हाँ मैं तो कभी कभी जा पाता हूं अपने गांव. ये कोई शान की बात थोड़ी है. But that's called detaching ourselves from something where we feel that it will kind of reduce my grades in front of. So that's again a danger about giving that to the people who are better off from the lower section. That is the challenge. And I'll give you a first-hand example. Laluji himself came from a comparatively less well-off family, but when he became the Chief Minister of Bihar, over his 13 years tenure, I'm adding Rabri Devi's tenure also. So over 13 years tenure of his party, he didn't do much for upliftment of actual poors in Bihar. That became a challenge, no doubt. All right. Okay, I had one more question to ask you. If a public sector company is making a loss, please understand this. If a public sector company is making a loss and it's in a non-core, non-strategic area, and it is possible to revive it in profit, then should the government revive it and then sell, or sell it off before reviving it. Sell it off before reviving it, then they will fetch low price. It's a loss-making thing. So it should be revived and then sold. In case it comes to your mind, why should it be sold if it has been revived? Because it is in a non-core, non-strategic area. So even if you revive, you sell it off, but then sell it, if possible, wherever possible, after reviving it. If you sell it before reviving it, the private sector will offer a low price on it because the market will value it at a lesser rate. I hope this can also remain with you. So remember, whenever you revive, your selling value will rise proportionately much more because it is never seen that a loss-making company will fetch you even a junk price compared to a profit-making company. So the price of a junk is always lesser than price of any revived system. All right? Yes, yes. No, we know that by checking the reasons of loss. Say, for example, the reason is because I have not appointed CEO for 6 months. Or the reason of loss is a sudden change in market. Or the reason of loss is poor raw material supply. Then these are small reasons you can revive. But if the reasons are structural, like a workers' dispute going on for, say, 6 years, or the machines being outdated, or overstaffing, then difficult to revive. But that is the idea. Private sector many times buys the public sector, knowing I can revive it, and then get higher value for it. So if the government can revive it, again I repeat, wherever possible, because there are particular sectors in which it is possible, particular sectors in which it is not. So wherever possible, government can revive it, they can always fetch a better price in the market. चलो मैं तुम्हारा पब्लिक सेक्टर हुआ, तुम मेरे सरकार हुए, तुमने मुझे 100 रुपए दिए, you give me 100 rupees, you come next year to me and you say, sir, are you earning profit? I say yes. Sir, give my return, I give you 1 rupee, 1%. Next year you again come, sir, are you earning profit? Yes. Give me my money, I give you 2 rupees. साथ में एक न्यूज़पेपर हेडलाइन भी छपवाऊंगा, public sector profit rises by 100%. Next year you come to me, I give you 2 rupees again. Then you come to me, I give you 1 rupee again. I am revived, I am making profit. But the rate of return I am giving you is 1%, 2%. What will you say finally? Sir, let's close you down or sell you off because the rate of return is lesser than a savings bank account return. तो प्रॉफिट इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, रेट ऑफ रिटर्न बहुत जरूरी होता है. साथ में यह भी कि तुम किस सेक्टर में हो, क्या उस सेक्टर में सरकार का रहना जरूरी है. ठीक है? ऑल राइट, यू नाउ राइट बिलो दिस disinvestment and privatization, disinvestment and privatization. No, this is a concluding statement. This is a concluding statement. Disinvestment and privatization, comma, should be done on a case-by-case basis, along with steps taken for revival of public sector units, by giving them autonomy. Full stop. The government established Department of Investment Department of Investment and Public Asset Management and Public Asset Management, in a bracket you write DIPAM, 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 to replace Disinvestment Commission, Disinvestment Commission in 2016. The objective of DIPAM, make it objectives of DIPAM. Objectives of DIPAM are, and you write A, B, C, D. So you write A, to promote coordination in asset use, of public sector, coordination in asset use of public sector. I'll tell you what it means. Suppose there is a road owned by Port Authority of India, and it is required by National Highway Authority of India for construction of a highway, then DIPAM will make sure that we don't have to wait long to get those roads. All right, that is the idea of DIPAM actually, that coordinating the public sector asset. Otherwise, the files take a lot of time moving from one department to another, and it delays the whole project entirely. Then you write second objective, B, it advises the government regarding revival of a public sector and the method by which it can be done, and third, it advises the government on disinvestment and privatization of public sector wherever it is needed. Okay, so these are the functions of DIPAM as it exists. DIPAM is the main body responsible for any disinvestment, any privatization, related advice to the government. In fact, they are the nodal body also. कुछ भी disinvestment होगा तो DIPAM के through ही होगा. All right? Okay. Now you give a heading. I'm done on the public sector part at the moment, but I have to tell you a few more things. Yes.
Can you state that public sector should revive its particular industry before privatizing it? We are assuming that the cost of reviving the worker.
Yeah, that's what I answered. Because normally, as you make it profitable, the value jumps exponentially compared to a loss-making enterprise. So the cost will never be that high unless you are trying to revive a junk entirely. But the price will never be that high, or the costs rather of revival, compared to the price fetching in the market. All right?
So, we just discussed the solutions that we are following is actually middle class to make the students.
No, I said that the solutions we are following are elitist. The middle class in India, जो लोग खुद को middle class बोलते हैं, हम लोग elite of India हैं. हम अंग्रेजी बोलते हैं, हम अंग्रेज़ों की तरह सोचते हैं। हम लोग ये अज्यूम करते हैं कि हमारे पास ज़्यादा अकल है दूसरों से, हमारे पैसे दूसरों से ज़्यादा हैं, तो हम लोग इलीट हैं भारत के। हम बोलते खुद को मिडिल क्लास हैं। Yes, in fact, Prerna Online also asks me that how do you resolve it? I'll tell you that when I teach you inclusive growth, but since you ask me now, one method is make the curriculum more student friendly. क्लास 1 का बच्चा पोइट्री याद करके क्यों जाए स्कूल? याद क्यों करे पोइट्री को? समझे उस पोइट्री को, इमेजिन करे, वो ज्यादा जरूरी है ना। इंजॉय करे। बाबा ब्लैक शिप में शीप दिखा दो ब्लैक कलर का उसको, लेकिन क्या जरूरत है कि वो बच्चा वो पोइट्री लर्न करे? व्हाट्स द पॉइंट? आई मीन, व्हाई डू वी वांट द फेलो टू लर्न इट? वी आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू डेवलप देम। क्यों लर्न करवाते थे पोइट्री? आप कभी सोचे ये बात? कहां से शुरुआत हुई होगी ये पोइट्री लर्न करने का प्रोसेस? इन द ओल्डन डेज, व्हेन डिड मॉडर्न एजुकेशन बिगैन? इट बिगैन बाय द नोबेल्स and the feudals sending their children for preparatory schools where they will learn all the fancy things, will come back and speak about it, talk about it, the literature and all, in front of other nobles and all, to impress them that look how well educated I am. तो वहां से ये रटने रटाने की पद्धति शुरू हुई कि अच्छा याद कराओ, पोएम बकेगा और दुनिया को बताएगा कि मैं बहुत बुद्धिमान हूं। पोएम का मतलब समझाना जरूरी है ना उनको, ये नहीं समझाते। तो पोएम एंजॉय कराएं अपने बच्चों को। टाइगर टाइगर बर्निंग ब्राइट, तो बच्चे को बताएं तो कि टाइगर कैसा एक एनिमल है, उसके सिन्यूज क्या है, या लॉर्ड टेनिसन के चार्ज ऑफ द लाइट ब्रिगेड। तो पोइट्री एंजॉय तो करें लोग। पोइट्री है वो, मशीन थोड़ी है पोइट्री भी रट गए। रेफरेंस टू द कंटेक्स्ट, द पोएट वांट्स टू से दैट, मतलब एक सिर्फ टीचर को ही पता है पोएट वांट्स टू से व्हाट। आप सोच के देखिए। Let the kid imagine what does the poet want to say, and the teacher can be the guiding line. That poet may want to say this and may want to say that. उससे ही, इसीलिए इसका नाम ह्यूमैनिटी रखा गया। ह्यूमन सिस्टम डेवलप किए आप, लिटरेचर आदमी के अंदर इंसान बनाए उसको। हमने वो सिस्टम ही नहीं रखा, सब रट जाओ। भगवान बुद्ध के बारे में जब आप बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं, ही वॉज बॉर्न इन लुम्बिनी, ही वॉज बॉर्न इन द ईयर दिस, ही डाइड इन द ईयर इस, ही अपॉइंटेड, और बच्चा भी ऐसे अब निर्वाणा इन दिस ईयर इट फोर्थ ऑफ दस, ऐसे ऐसे। ये कैसी पढ़ाई हो रही है? 3rd स्टैंडर्ड का बच्चा है, आंख वाँख बंद करके लगा हुआ। अरे भाई, बुद्ध के बारे में समझाओ, कितने महान व्यक्ति थे, क्या किया उन्होंने, किस तरह से इंसानियत के लिए काम किए, ये समझाना है ना। 8 फोल्ड पाथ रटा दिया उसको, मीनिंग एक भी पाथ का पता नहीं, लेकिन रट गया पूरा। तो ये समझा रहा हूं, दिस इज इलीटिस्ट एजुकेशन। इलीट्स कैन स्टिल डू दैट, बट पुअर चिल्ड्रन गेट लॉस्ट इन दैट। इंग्लिश में क्यों बोले हम स्कूल में? भाई 3rd 4th के बच्चे नहीं आती अंग्रेजी, नहीं है मेरी मदर टंग, व्हाट डू आई डू? इट्स नॉट माई मदर टंग। आई वॉन्ट टू स्पीक माई हिंदी, आई वॉन्ट टू स्पीक माई बांग्ला, आई वॉन्ट टू स्पीक माई तमिल, माई तेलुगु, माई उर्दू। डोंट लेट मी स्पीक इन हिंदी, in English. Why should you enforce it on me? But they enforce it on us. Then the kid finds it very difficult to understand. English में नहीं बोलोगे तो सजा मिलेगी। क्यों बोल, मैं बड़े होके बोल लूंगा। मैं अपनी बात कह रहा हूं आपसे। 3rd स्टैंडर्ड तक मुझे इंग्लिश नहीं समझ आती थी ठीक से, स्ट्रगल करता था मैं। ये नहीं कि पढ़ नहीं सकता था, पढ़ सकता था, बट समझ उतनी आसानी से नहीं आती थी जब लोग जल्दी जल्दी बोलते थे। तो if people would speedily talk in English, it will be a slight trouble for me. In fact, I remember my parents would watch a television show. It was called Different Strokes. My brother would also watch it. I will watch it. It used to come on Sundays, and it was an American show. सब इंग्लिश में बोलते थे, मुझे नहीं समझ आता था। मैं पेरेंट्स को देख के हंसता था कि वो हंस रहे हैं। कैसे ये हंसे तो मेरे हंसने की बारी है। बहुत बाद में पता चला कि वो मुझे देख के हंसते थे। That everybody would laugh because they knew now I will laugh, and when I will laugh, they all will laugh. वो परिवार से भरोसा उठने वाली बात थी वो। बट आप सोचिए, वाई शुड आई नो? तो आप ये बात समझा रहा हूं, वाई शुड अ 3rd स्टैंडर्ड किड स्पीक इन इंग्लिश? वाई शुड द 3rd स्टैंडर्ड किड बी टॉट SST एंड साइंस? टीच देम नॉर्मल इंग्लिश, हिंदी, मैथ्स, न्यूमरेसी, लिटरेसी, लेट देम ग्रो अप। इन जर्मनी काइंड ऑफ प्लेसेस दे डोंट इवन मेक देयर किड्स राइट टिल 5th स्टैंडर्ड। लिखते नहीं वहां के बच्चे 5th तक, सिर्फ सुनते हैं, अब्जॉर्ब करते हैं अपने टीचर को, ह्यूमन सिस्टम के बारे में सीखते हैं। तो हम अपने बच्चों को टॉर्चर करते हैं, ऐसे पढ़ाते हैं, तो हमारे बच्चे 4th 5th आते आते पढ़ाई से डर जाते हैं और आगे बढ़कर पढ़ाई का मतलब ही अलग समझ लेते हैं। हमारे लिए पढ़ाई का मतलब क्या है? बहुत सीरियस बात होनी चाहिए, मेरे समझ में जितना कम आए तो और कुछ तगड़ी बात हो रही होगी शायद, तभी मेरे समझ में नहीं आ रही। लेकिन तुम मुझे उसके बाद रटवा दो कि जो तुमने बताया उसको आंसर के फॉर्म में कैसे रेगुलेट करना है, फिर मैं उसको रटूंगा, उगलूंगा, नंबर लाऊंगा, बाहुबली बन जाऊंगा। ये पढ़ाई थोड़ी है। मेमोरी इज ओनली अ पार्ट ऑफ ह्यूमन सिस्टम. Memory is not the only thing. Imagine how far do we work on creativity of our children? We even make them mug up essays. I see them coming to prepare for UPSC and still looking for how to write an essay. Write an essay, write it off, whatever comes to your mind, and then keep improving upon it by reading it again and again, thinking about things again and again. It's creativity, your creation. वो तुम्हारा होना चाहिए जो भी है। हम सोचते नहीं, मुझे टॉपर्स के 4-5 ऐसे पढ़वा दो, तब मुझे अकल आएगी कि ऐसे कैसे लिखना है। नहीं, तब तुम्हें अकल आएगी कि वो टॉपर कैसे लिखता था। फिर भी वो तुम्हारा ऐसे नहीं रहा। इट इज स्टिल नॉट योर ऐसे। योर ऐसे इज क्रिएशन। क्रिएशंस हैपन ओनली ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम बाय रीडिंग मोर, अंडरस्टैंडिंग मोर, एंड देन द एक्सप्रेशन स्टार्ट फ्लोइंग आउट। आई थिंक दिस अबाउट इट, बट दैट इज द चैलेंज ऑफ एजुकेशन इफ यू आस्क मी, दैट वी हैव डन। सो दिस इज इलीटिस्ट, you know, that we have not even let, और ये नहीं है कि ये सिर्फ अपर क्लास की बात है, even the middle class doesn't understand what to do with it. We don't know what should we do with what we have learned. मैं अभी आपको ये नोट्स लिखवा रहा हूं ना, आप देखिएगा जब मैं नोट्स लिखवाता हूं आप पूरे गौर से लिखेंगे उसे, लेकिन जब हम डिस्कशन करते हैं जिनकी कुछ बातें शायद इंटरव्यू में आ सकती हैं, अच्छा अभी सर बात कर रहे हैं, मैं भी थोड़ा दुनिया से होकर आता हूं। ये हमारे 15 साल की ट्रेनिंग है। 15 साल हमें सिखाया रटो और रटो और रटो, तो इस रटने के चक्कर में वो टिक जाते हैं जिनको घर पे सपोर्ट है, दे कैन सर्वाइव। दोज हु आर नॉट सपोर्टेड एट होम, दे विल फाइंड इट वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू सर्वाइव। सो मेक एजुकेशन स्टूडेंट फ्रेंडली, मेक प्राइमरी एजुकेशन, प्राइमरी नॉट एंटायर, बट प्राइमरी एजुकेशन इन मदर टंग, make people understand the upper end of the things only when they are matured. For example, if you expect people to learn a chemistry or a physics, let them be a 13-14-year-old so that they can appreciate what's being taught to them and they can develop genuine interest. And another one, make education pragmatic oriented, practical oriented, practice oriented rather than theory oriented. Let the children actually see a butterfly. Let the children actually see, and I'm not saying you have to take them to the field to see a butterfly. We have screens today. So use screens for that education. Let the children actually see a prism. Let the children being formed. Let the children actually see refraction by showing them the video of refraction. You know, तो दिखा हुआ चीज बहुत याद रहता है हमें। आप विश्वास करिए, हमारे जो एबिलिटी है, और मैं किस डिमीन नहीं कर रहा लेकिन आपको बता रहा हूं, our ability is massively compromised when it comes to our independent thinking. In our country, I interview people sometimes for jobs, massive compromise. Basic things people don't understand. Basic things of their topic, you ask them, they don't know. Because they never tried applying it. पढ़े रट गए, पढ़े रट गए, पढ़े रट गए। अप्लाई करना, जैसे मान लीजिए हल्द्वानी में एक इशू हुआ, तुम्हें उसका मसाला नहीं पढ़ना, लेकिन सिक्योरिटी इशू है ना तुम्हारे सिलेबस का, उसके हिसाब से पढ़ना है। सोशल इश्यूज है ना तुम्हारे सिलेबस में, कम्युनल हार्मनी उसका पार्ट है ना, उसके हिसाब से पढ़ना है। आपको ये थोड़ी रटना है कि जब वहां किसने किसको मारा, क्या हुआ, मसाले नहीं देखने हैं। लेकिन सोचो, हम में से बहुत लोगों को पता ही नहीं कि मेरे सिलेबस का कौन सा पार्ट है इसमें, मैं कैसे अप्रोच करूं उसे। तो ये ट्रेनिंग ही तो स्कूल देगा ना। अभी इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में मैं पढ़ रहा था, हाउ क्लासरूम्स विल बी बेटर देन कोचिंग सेंटर, प्रोवाइडेड क्लासरूम्स आर लाइक क्लासरूम्स। नो, classrooms are not like classrooms. Classrooms cannot happen with a rigid headmaster kind of a teacher who will control the class. Classrooms have to be talkative, talk oriented, let the student also speak, and the teacher can mold the student. हमें तो 10th स्टैंडर्ड सीबीएसई में सिखाते हैं, बेटा आप आपकी लैंग्वेज बिल्कुल सिंपल रखो, नहीं तो टीचर आपको नंबर नहीं देंगे। क्यों? मैं अगर अच्छा लिखता हूं क्यों रोकूं खुद को? मेरे वर्ड्स ठूसे हुए नहीं लगने चाहिए। My words should not look as if they have been inserted. But if I am a prolific writer and I have a good English and I am in 10th standard, that's not my fault, no. I'm a prolific writer, I should be marked well for that. That in 10th standard I can write so well that you think that these words are beyond me, but I'm well read. So if I am well read, I can write better. But हम लोग बोलते हैं नहीं नहीं नहीं, तुम एवरेज रहो तो हम तुम्हें नंबर देंगे. तो ये आपको समझा रहा हूं that when you think about things there, unless our education doesn't become that, it will remain elitist in its nature. So for education, I suggested few things to you. As I teach you inclusive growth, I'll tell you more things. But another thing is, which some states in India are trying, arrange for people to train the poor children or help the poor children in co-curricular activities after the school. जैसे बिहार में, यूपी में, तमिलनाडु में शिक्षा मित्र की शुरुआत की गई. अब ये फ्लॉप हो गया क्योंकि लोगों को लगा ये मुझे परमानेंट सरकारी नौकरी मिलेगी. But train people that you will not be permanent, but your job will be like a tutor, and you will train the child after the school, especially children coming from deprived sections. You have to do it only for one generation, no? If one generation has people passing 12th standard, they will make sure that the next generation educates itself well. The problem is when I am not educated, how do I educate my child? So you educate the child for me. Create a Shiksha Mitra. And make sure my child doesn't have to take a tuition. That support can be given by the school. और वो भी सारे दिन थोड़ी करना है, 4th 5th तक. Make my base good, so that I start understanding when I am an 11 12 year old. आप याद करके देखिए, जब आप लोग भी 12 13 के हो गए होंगे, when you were 12 13 years old, when I was 12 13 years old, parents don't sit with us after that. We're studying on our own. They have handheld us since childhood till 10 11 years of age. Do the same with a poor kid. And the kid will start studying better. जरूरी नहीं सबके 100 में 100 आए, 50 लाख 60 लाख बना दीजिए उनको, फिर वो अपने इंटरेस्ट ढूंढ लेंगे आगे के वर्ल्ड में. So this is what you need to do. If we do all that, we make education much more, absorbing, and we make people more interested in education. We don't let education become a drudgery. All that does, and most importantly, we develop good brains who can appreciate a decent debate. Unfortunately, we don't have many good brains at the moment who can appreciate a decent debate. हमें लगता नहीं, बस मुझे रटवा दो, प्लीज रटवा दो, कुछ करो, रटवाओ, मैं उगलूं निकलूं आगे. लेकिन ये ब्रेन कैसे काम चलाएंगे आगे? Life will keep throwing unknowns to you. You wouldn't know what is coming to your side. And you need to find solutions to unknown. हमारे kids तो normal Rubicon solve नहीं करते. उनके puzzle game में नहीं होता. Scrabble नहीं खेलते. वर्ड बिल्डिंग के लिए ये पढ़ाई होनी चाहिए स्कूल में. चलो बेटा स्क्रैबल खेलो, आज रूबिक सॉल्व करो. बहुत चीज है, वो कहेगा सॉल्व नहीं हुआ मैम, लगे रहो, 15 मिनट बाद भी सॉल्व नहीं हुआ, अभी भी लगे रहो. यू नो व्हाई? That's applying the mind in spite of not getting the solution. That is what prepares you for research in future. When you research, you don't get immediate results. You will get results after months of researching. But the kid who is used to getting an answer in 2 minutes from an R.D. Sharma solution set, what do you expect this kid to research on? इनको तो 2 मिनट में इंस्टेंट नूडल की तरह सॉल्यूशन चाहिए. आप इनको कह रहे रिसर्च करो, 6 महीने बाद पता चलेगा कि जो तुम सोच रहे थे वो सही भी था या नहीं. क्योंकि जब आप रिसर्च करते हैं, रिग्रेशन इक्वेशंस रन करते हैं, तब 6 मंथ्स के बाद आपका रिजल्ट आता है जो बताता नहीं तुम सोच ही गलत रहे थे भाई. तो ये आपको समझा रहा हूं that unless we don't train our children in that manner, it won't be an equitable education. I hope you have taken things down which I told you, because these are the suggestions you can give about how we can make, and some of these have been incorporated in new education policy. We will have to wait how they are implemented, but some of them are incorporated. We also need to educate our adults that education is not about scoring marks only, so stop judging the children on the basis of the marks they score. अब सोचिए, मान लीजिए मेरे एक बच्चे हो जिनके साइंस में 75 आ रहे हैं, 100 में, मैथ्स में 70 आ रहे हैं, लेकिन उनके एसएसटी में 98 आ रहे हैं, इंग्लिश में 98 आ रहे हैं. So why should I be worried? The fellow will not do science after 10th. The fellow is showing all symptoms of becoming a very good social study person. उसमें जिसमें उनका इंटरेस्ट होगा 12th के बाद वो चुन लेंगे और उसमें बहुत बढ़िया करेंगे अपने लाइफ में. मैं क्यों उसके पीछे पड़ा रहा हूं? बेटा चल तेरा ट्यूशन लगाता हूं, तेरे 90 भी नहीं आ रहे साइंस में, नहीं आ रहे, नहीं मन लगता उसका, थोड़ा कम समझ में आता है, उसको हिस्ट्री ज्यादा अच्छी समझ आती है, वो हिस्टोरियन बन जाएगा. घटिया साइंटिस्ट बनने से तो अच्छा, या इंजीनियर बनने से अच्छा हिस्टोरियन बने. बट हम अपने बच्चों के पीछे पड़ जाते हैं, जिसमें तू खराब है उसमें और मेहनत कर, जिसमें अच्छा है उस प्रोसेस में उसको भी खराब कर ले. That is what I'm saying. So parents need to be trained, teachers need to be trained, that don't judge children on their marks, see what is their talent, approve on that. So education will need that holistic system. If we develop that, we are a well-educated society then. Otherwise, education should develop compassion. That is why literature is there. Education should develop values, in people. आप लोग अच्छे values के साथ बड़े किए गए बच्चे हो, तो आप अच्छे इंसान हो. आप सोच के देखिए, आप नहीं थप्पड़ मार सकते किसी को बड़े आराम से, आपको टाइम लगेगा. You have been taught like that, trained like that. बहुत गुस्सा आया किसी पे तो भी लगता छोड़ो यार, आदमी बड़ा बुरा था लेकिन. That's the most you can do. You're well trained, good people, but taught by people around you, taught you compassion, taught you the rule of law, taught you civic sense. क्यों नहीं आप थूक देते रोड पे चलते चलते? आपको civic sense सिखाया किसी ने. पहली बार कभी कोशिश की होगी तो रोक दिया, अरे क्या कर रहे हो, ऐसे नहीं करते. तो आदत पड़ गई, अच्छा ऐसे नहीं करते. समझिए आप, यही ट्रेनिंग सबको दे दें तो एजुकेट कर दिया हमने. ये कह रहा हूं. So education should be teaching all that rather than what we are teaching at the moment, in our education. That will make it holistic. At least the primary level should begin like that. From secondary level, we can think about specializations and all. And especially in the college level, we should focus more. Last but not the least, make school education fun, easy, and less on syllabus, and make college education rigorous and tough and all occupying. We do exactly opposite in our country. We make school education rigorous. दिमाग ठंडा रहता है बच्चे का. वो 6-7 घंटे स्कूल में है, 3-4 घंटे ट्यूशन में है, उसको लग रहा है लाइफ क्या हो गई मेरी. फिर वो पहुंचता है कॉलेज. इसे कहते हैं फ्रीडम. अब हुआ मैं फ्री. It should exactly be opposite. Make schools a place where children can play, they can pursue their objectives, they can pursue their passion, and make college a place where the child has herself chosen what she wants to do. Let them pursue it with all, rigor. कि आपकी रिगरस ट्रेनिंग होनी चाहिए. सांस लेने की फुर्सत ना मिले कॉलेज में. करिकुलर, को करिकुलर एंड एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर के कॉम्बिनेशन से. ये नहीं कह रहा हूं इट शुड बी ओनली करिकुलर, बट देयर कैन बी सेमिनार्स ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय द कॉलेज एंड गुड पीपल कैन बी इंटरेक्टेड विथ, but it should be rigorously done. The teaching should be rigorous, training the children very well in those things, sending them in the last semester maybe to write their own research paper, calling it a thesis paper. 6th semester or 8th semester can be used for that. Let them develop their own paper, and it should not be a plagiarized paper. Make sure about that also. ये नहीं कि अच्छा पिछले वाला जो था उसी का टेप लिया, फोटोकॉपी शॉप में सब मिलता है, वहां गए, वहीं से उठाकर ले आए, और वही पिछले वाला जो प्रोजेक्ट था वो टीचर को चिपका दिया. टीचर ने भी देखा अच्छा तुम वही वाला लाए हो, मैं भी वही वाले नंबर दे देता हूँ, चलो काम खत्म. Shouldn't be like that. College should be rigor. And rigor, again I repeat, doesn't mean that it has to be torturous. It only means that it should be fun. But fun when you are enthused to read more, study more. The college teachers have to take responsibility for that. If I am reading more, I will come and share it with you. If I share it with you, you will feel excited about it. So it should be that. That is education from bottom to top. I mean from primary to tertiary level. If we develop that, makes people much more holistically developed. और कॉलेज में आप वैसे खेलते हैं ना, आप लोगों को 1 घंटे का टाइम दे दीजिए, 2 घंटे का टाइम दे दीजिए, pursue your passion. हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम कहाँ टाइम देता है हमें to pursue my passion? बहुत रेयरली होता है कि हमें टाइम मिल जाए उसके लिए. जैसे मुझे क्रिकेट खेलना अच्छा लगता था तो मैं क्रिकेट खेलता था, पर उसका एक बहुत बड़ा कारण था कि जो मैं पढ़ाई करता था या क्रिकेट खेलता था, उसके अलावा टाइम नहीं था बहुत ज्यादा कुछ करने को. तो ये आपको समझा रहा हूं कि वो टाइम मिलना चाहिए. एजुकेशन शुड नॉट कीप मी ऑक्यूपाइड इन डूइंग ओनली मगिंग अप थिंग्स एंड ऑल. एप्लीकेशन विल क्रिएट ऑल दैट. Just keep it like that in the mind, and you will see that then India develops thinking brains rather than accepting brains. Today we have accepting brains. किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, मान लिए. Karnataka chief minister comes and says we are not getting money. Oh, okay. If it suits me, if I am an anti-BJP person, these fellow must not be getting money. पक्का सच बोल रहे हैं. If it doesn't suit me, I am a BJP person. अरे झूठ बोलते हैं. मेरा तो सीतारमन जी ने बोला है, वो सच बोलते हैं. I will never try finding out, opening the budget myself, that how much money has been devolved, what money has been given to states, in what capacity. All that I will not do. So such people are people who are accepting people, conformist society. I will accept because I have been told. But people should be thinking people. Why should I do what I am doing? Am I required to do that? And if not, then I'll not do it. Maybe it suits somebody else. It doesn't suit me. You understand that? So that is what education should do to you. Anyways, I hope you will be able to now present something on education if asked, but that is what modern education is about. Okay, we go further in this. Now you give a heading, you write National Asset Monetization Policy. National Asset Monetization Policy. And in a bracket you write pipeline. It's possible, Divyanshi, you can do that. Yes, holiday homework are another waste of time. ऑल राइट, या ऑनेस्टली हॉलीडे होमवर्क के नाम पे इतना इतना पकड़ा दिया. कभी कभी मैं देखता था, हमारे टाइम पे होता था, आपके टाइम तक पता नहीं क्या हुआ, हमारे टाइम तक तो पेरेंट्स कभी कभी लिख रहे होते थे हॉलीडे होमवर्क. व्हाट्स द पॉइंट? इतना सारा हॉलीडे होमवर्क देके क्या फायदा है? हॉलीडे है ना, तो होमवर्क कहां से आया? हॉलीडे एंजॉय करने दो. यू नो, दैट इज माई पॉइंट, दैट वी पुट अनड्यू प्रेशर. तुम कुछ बन जाओ, उस चक्कर में वो पता नहीं क्या बन जाता है. पढ़ने से ही नफरत उसको. अब सोचिए, मैं आपकी और हमारी बात नहीं कर रहा, आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग अस टू बी अ बेटर इवॉल्व्ड सिस्टम, बट जितनी बार घड़ी में देखता हूं लोग काम के वक्त देखते हैं, उतनी बार कभी भी और किसी वक्त नहीं देखते. काम के वक्त हम इतनी घड़ी क्यों देखते हैं? हमें बता दिया गया ये काम है, ये काम है, ये काम है, ये पढ़ाई है, तो हम उस फन को भूल गए, उस एंजॉयमेंट को भूल गए जो उसके साथ अटैच्ड है, द आइडिया ऑफ नोइंग मोर. और उसी किताब को तुम्हें पकड़ा दिया जाए ये कह के कि ये कोर्स बुक नहीं है, तो तुम पढ़ जाओगे पूरी किताब. So you know what is the key idea? The pressure that comes with education that we put on our children. पढ़ो, याद करो. अगर वो एंजॉय करेगा उसे खुद ही याद रह जाएगी बात, वो खुद ही दूसरी बार पढ़ने चला. जो पिक्चर हमें अच्छी लगती है हम 2 बार देख लेते हैं, तो जो किताब अच्छी लगेगी हम खुद ही 2 बार पढ़ लेंगे. वेट तो करें क्या अच्छी लगी है इसको, देखें तो थोड़ा इवॉल्व तो करें. ये आपको समझा रहा हूं that unless we do not train our next generation like that, we will keep producing what we are producing in my generation or your generation. You will very seldom find people who are even willing to think, forget able to think. Ability to think तो secondary part है, primary is willingness to think. दो भाई दो, notes दो, मैं जरा रटूं, काम खत्म करूं. तो फिर आपके इंटेलेक्चुअल परस्यूट्स ही लो हो गए ना, वहां गड़बड़. फिर आप नौकरी में भी वही सोचते हैं, इतना काम करके दिखा दो जिसमें मेरे ऊपर बात ना आए बस. That work should be done. Nobody should challenge me. But rest everything can be done as it is. That's not how work should be done. You know, that is not, again I repeat, what passion is about. When you're working passionately on things, अब तुम IAS बनना चाहते हो, तुम्हारे 50 सपने होंगे IAS बनने के लिए, कि मैं ये का चेंज ला सकता हूँ, या ये काम करूँगा, ऐसे परस्यू करूँगा, और बनने के बाद तुम गोल्फ खेलने लगे और ट्विटर पे दिखने लगे. So that will be a shame. Then you should pursue what you are thinking today that you would pursue, irrespective of what the world around you is doing. The world around you can do a number of things. You should do what your dreams are about. That is my limited point to you. Money की भी चिंता मत करना, किस्मत में होगा तो कहीं से टपक के आ जाएंगे पैसे. ये हमेशा दिमाग में रखना है. Money is a lot about whether you have it destined or not. So bother more about good work, excellence. Money may or may not follow. That is not the concern. इतने पैसे रहेंगे कि खाना पीना खा लोगे, कपड़े पहन लोगे, और 70-75 साल बाद तो ऊपर ही चले जाओगे. तो फाइनली तो लाइफ वही है. तो कुछ ऐसा तो करके जाए जहाँ सेटिस्फैक्शन हो कि हाँ कुछ किया मैंने ठीक ठाक. यू नो, दैट इज द एस्पेक्ट. एनीवेज, एजुकेशन ही ये सिखाता है. ये भी हम अगेन अपने बच्चों को एजुकेट, आप सोचिए फर्स्ट आओ बेटा, तो टीम वर्क कैसे सीखेगा? उनको तो फर्स्ट आना है ना. लोन वुल्फ विल नेवर वर्क एज अ टीम. दूसरे को डोमिनेट करने के चक्कर में ज्यादा रहेंगे. सोचिए एक पैनल मीटिंग होती है, क्यों सब एक दूसरे के ऊपर बोलने लगते हैं? सबको लगता है मेरी बात सुनी जाए, मेरी बात सुनी जाए, क्योंकि सबको बताया गया जो ज्यादा बोला उसकी ही तो बात हुई. लेकिन अच्छे कोऑर्डिनेटर कौन होते हैं? जो सबको सूत्र में बांधे. हाँ आप क्या कह रहे थे, आप भी क्या कह रहे थे, हाँ इस बात पे मुझे लगता है ये भी होना चाहिए, आप बताइए अब क्या कह रहे थे. लेकिन ऐसे फिर लीडरशिप क्वालिटी कहाँ से आएगी? लीडरशिप क्वालिटी क्या होती है? भाई मैं तो कुछ नहीं करता, खड़े होकर बोलता हूं, मेरी जो टीम मेरे पीछे काम करती है क्या सॉलिड काम करती है, क्योंकि आपकी टीम ने सॉलिड काम किया है. लेकिन आप टीम को एक्नॉलेज ही नहीं करेंगे. आ गए कप उठाने, ये मैं ही हूं. दैट इज माई पॉइंट. दैट इज वाई MS धोनी इज अ गुड लीडर. उन्होंने ट्रेडिशन शुरू किया दैट द यंगेस्ट मेंबर ऑफ द टीम विल पिक अप द कप. तो कप जीतते थे खूब सारा, इसीलिए क्योंकि उनको कप जीत के अपने आप लाइमलाइट में आने का नहीं रहता था दिमाग में. ये लीडरशिप क्वालिटी है. लेकिन अगर आप हाईलाइट ही करेंगे कि नहीं तुम्हें लाइमलाइट में रहना है, तू तो फोटो में कोने में खड़ा था, ये कोई बात थोड़ी होती है. बच्चा भी सोचता अच्छा बीच में खड़े हुए होता है जो फोटो में वही चैंपियन होता है, वो धक्का वक्का मार के बीच में लगा हुआ है, मैं आऊँगा। दैट इज माई पॉइंट। तो आप, ये टीचिंग है, ये एजुकेशन है। इफ यू कैन एजुकेट लाइक दैट, यू आर क्रिएटिंग ग्रेट नेक्स्ट जनरेशन। दैट इज माई पॉइंट दैट आई एम टेलिंग यू।
So as you told about the importance of education, we avoid physical violence and build civic manners through education. But still, I have seen a lot of people using very verbal violence and abusive language, even being educated.
Imagine if they were not educated, what would they become? Believe me, education improves you by degrees, no? It doesn't improve you absolute. So you will inculcate your education in one way, somebody else will inculcate it in another way. That is why I told you guys, I did not say every kid. It's not that every kid is not spitting गुटखा on the road, no? आप ओल्ड राजेंद्र नगर में देखिए, मैं कभी कभी मुझे आश्चर्य लगता है कि आपकी उम्र के लोग गुटखा कैसे खाते हैं। हाँ नहीं जानता हूँ, देखता हूँ मैं भी खा रहे होते हैं। तो उनका अपना अलग लेवल का रहा, बैकग्राउंड अलग होगा, एजुकेटेड अलग तरह से हुए होंगे, पीयर ग्रुप अलग होगा। तो वही तो कह रहा हूँ कि लेकिन हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम वहाँ फेल करता है ना, कि सबको इन्फॉर्म नहीं कर पाता। ये बात कह रहा हूँ। नो, एज आई टोल्ड यू, इट हैज़ टू बी होलिस्टिक राइट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग। टुडे तुम फिर एजुकेशन लिटरेसी से कंफ्यूज कर रहे हो। हम लोग एजुकेट कहाँ करते हैं अपने बच्चों को? लिटरेट बनाते हैं। पेरेंटल इंटरेक्शन जरूरी होता है, हम लोग बहुत जगह तो वो भी नहीं करते, टाइम ही नहीं लोगों के पास। तो वो बात कह रहा हूँ। ओके, यू टेक दिस अप नाउ। दिस नेशनल एसेट मोनेटाइजेशन प्रोग्राम और नेशनल एसेट मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन। आप कुछ बातें लिख लीजिए, फिर मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन भी करता जाऊंगा। यू राइट, and I'll keep calling it NAMP. NAMP. NAMP was announced. NAMP was announced under Atmanirbhar Bharat program. Under Atmanirbhar Bharat program, in 2020-21. When I say 2020-21, I mean the financial year 2021. That you can write it as a year 21 also. All right? In the same thing you write. It has been notified. It has been notified from financial year 2021-22. It has been notified from financial year 2021-22. In the same thing you write further, under NAMP, government will lease out public assets like land. In fact, for leasing out land, leasing out we all understand, giving it up for a period of time on kind of rental basis. That is leasing out. It's not a permanent property, it's leased out. So giving it for a period of time on rental basis. Coming back to things, so for land, government has already created an institution called National Land Monetization Company. Alright, एक NLMC सरकार ने 2022 में create कर दिया है. Alright, National Land Monetization Company. This has been established in 2022. Their job will be to monetize all the land that public sector companies or government has, which can be used elsewhere. So you write in that, government will lease out public asset like land, road, ports, airport, electricity generation units, comma, public stadiums, comma, railway lines and platforms, comma, public warehousing, we understand, storehouses, public warehousing and oil and gas pipelines, to private sector for a particular time period, under a contract. But remember, it is not necessarily public-private partnership. That's not necessary. It can be a simple contract signed between public and private sector for lease purpose. All right, like for example, suppose a public sector, say railways has a piece of land. Nobody is using that land, and that land has developed a slum, and there are anti-social elements controlling all that. Now what railway does is it auctions the land, leases it out for say 30 years, and it gives it to a developer. The developer will now develop this land, clean it up, all encroachments removed. The developer can build a hotel, the developer can build a mall, something like that. This land will now start, can also put up a hoarding for advertisement. The land will start earning money, and part of this money will be given to the government also, that is railway also, by the developer as lease charges. You understand that? So that is one example. Similarly, suppose there is a railway platform. It's overcrowded, the government is unable to manage it well, people are not taking platform tickets, say there is open defecation. So one day government says, okay, we will develop this railway platform and we are leasing it out to a private company, leasing it out, mind you, for 20 years. It will be their job now to collect platform tickets. It will be their job to create public amenities on railway platforms. They will take care of the business on railway platform, but administration will remain with the government. So there will still be a GRP, and there will still be a station master and a deputy station master, but the business part will be handled by this private company. Now the private company can make lounges, can develop AC, air-conditioned waiting rooms. It can also start developing possibilities of eateries of good brands on the railway station, and they can establish themselves over there. And all these people will give money to this company, and the company will give a part of that money to Indian Railways. So the passengers come, and the company then this private company starts collecting platform tickets better, vending machines are installed. You understand that? Better check is kept that without platform ticket people should not enter. So all that they do. In the process, the system becomes more disciplined. There is less crowd on the railway station. Problems of open defecation, etc. go down. Accidents because of overcrowding go down. Pickpocketing and all because of overcrowding go down. And there are better amenities for the passengers who are traveling. And that ways, the money, and then there are hotels, there are restaurants being established, there can be bookshops, there can be public hoardings on which advertisements can go on, there can be digital displays on which advertisements can go on, and with all that they can earn money and give that part of that money to the government. That is monetization. So monetization is not privatization. Privatization means I lose control on the asset, I am not the owner of it anymore. Monetization means I am still controlling the asset, I have not lost control on it, but I have leased it out to someone to be used over a period of time. Do I believe the difference is clear to us? Yes. So the money you get from asset monetization, Government of India records it in capital receipts. All right, Government of India records it there. Understand, I'll just take a minute. Understand one more thing. Anything, like say toll road. So toll road can be a monetized road. It may not necessarily be a BOT, MOT, anything. It can simply be monetization, that I've given you the road now, you look after the road, you collect the tolls, and you will give me a fixed money. And you can develop the areas around the road also. So maybe areas around the road can be developed for eateries. आप कभी नेशनल हाईवेज पे जाएंगे तो आप देखेंगे साइड में पेट्रोल पंप्स मिल जाते हैं, वहाँ eateries मिल जाती हैं. तो डेवलपर को कंट्रोल होता है किसको वो लीज आउट करेंगे वो एरिया, और उनको उसके भी पैसे मिलते हैं हाईवे बनाने के. So in that case, you can do it in a public-private partnership also, but all asset monetization is not public-private partnership. It may be PPP, but not all of them. I hope we are clear on that. ना तुमने हाथ खड़ा किया था, ठीक है, perfect. Okay, then you write below that. Yes, yes. Well, the government says that we are actually leasing out the capital asset for a long period of time. It's being leased out for 20 years, 25 years. So they say we'll record it as a part of non-debt capital receipt. Annual payment. Sometimes what happens actually is, I'm answering something important, that why do we record it as capital receipt? Sometimes what happens is they don't receive the money annually, they may receive it upfront. That I pay you this money, now the asset is mine, I'll use it and then give it back to you. So even when you hear that 6 airport Adani ko de diya, well, monetization hai airport ka. All right, it's not selling of airport, it's monetization of airport. Similarly, Nhava Sheva port or Calicut port, they have been monetized. All right, this is what has been done. So monetization is different from privatization. Never confuse between the two. They are two very different aspects. Now, why do we monetize? So you write within that, benefits of NAMP. Benefits of NAMP. And you write first, it is expected to generate rupees 6.5 lakh crore. It is expected to generate rupees 6.5 lakh crore as revenue for the government by 2025-26. In fact, it is already generated more than 1.5 lakh crore in different forms of monetization. The different forms of monetization that the government is doing, more than 1.5 lakh crore has already been generated from various assets. Majorly, roads are playing a big role. Railway platforms and railway routes are playing a big role, and ports are playing a big role. ये 3 major assets हैं जो monetize हुए हैं, उनके काफी पैसे आ रहे हैं इनसे. अभी तक की बात कर रहा हूँ. Then you write next, second point. The government will not have to incur. The government will not have to incur maintenance. The government will not have to incur maintenance and repair cost. Maintenance and repair cost without losing ownership control of the asset. Without losing ownership control of the asset. So government doesn't lose ownership, but the government will not have to now spend on maintenance or on repair. All this will be done by the private sector which has taken it on lease. Third, you write, it can result in more efficient utilization. It can result in more efficient utilization of the asset because the private developer will have to generate revenue for earning sufficiently to recover the lease charges. Earning sufficiently to recover the lease charges. I hope you get the point that unless I don't, I'll give you an example. So you look at the performance of airports in India pre and post Udan scheme. Udan scheme was introduced, it's called Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. This was introduced in 2017. Before Udan scheme, out of 155 airports in India and airstrips, only 40 were fully functional and another 34 were partially functional. Partially functional means having 5 flights in 1 week at least. That is partially functional. Fully functional is having more than 10 flights in 1 week. So only 40 airports were fully functional and only 34 were partially functional. The rest were not functional at all. But remember, we had made the asset and we were incurring the repair cost, maintenance cost. Nothing was happening. We introduced Udan. We gave flying routes on lease to private airlines. And we said, you fly this route, you earn money, and we will support you if by chance you are unable to earn money. But if you earn money, you will give us money. All right, it was a reverse bidding thing. That who will take less money from the government to fly those routes. In last 7 years of Udan, we have seen that today we have 149 airports functional, जो budget में भी finance minister बोल रहे थे. So 149 airports functional, 4 greenfield airports constructed in India. All right, that has been done. More importantly, now there is more economic activity on smaller airports, like say a Patna or a Kota or a Jaipur, compared to what it used to be in the past. More flights are flying. There are flights connecting, say, Bangalore to Mangalore. There are flights connecting Delhi to Ludhiana. There are flights connecting Mumbai to Indore or Mumbai to Kolhapur. You know, that kind of a thing has started happening. This is a change that we see in India because of practicing monetization, where the private sector will find it imperative. They got to earn. If they don't earn, how do they pay back? So they start developing businesses. Do I believe we are clear on that? You take the next one then. Next point. It results in increasing employment generation. It results in increasing employment generation due to increase in business activities. Like, you know, new construct, like say take the Delhi International Airport, GMR Industries developing it. New construction activity happening, more hotels set up, more taxi services put in. You understand that? It's creating employment for people then. That somebody is getting employment as a taxi operator. Somebody is getting employment as a taxi driver. Somebody is getting employment as a tour operator. Somebody is getting employment as a waiter in the restaurant serving inside it, and so on and so forth. So that's about setting up things, creating employment by increasing economic opportunities. कुछ लोग कहते हैं ये करने से employment कम मिलता है. ये नहीं करने से कितना मिलेगा? कुछ भी नहीं. हमारे यहाँ की सोच ही अजीब सी है, मैं आपसे भी शेयर करता हूँ. बहुत लोग कहते हैं मेरे लायक पैसा नहीं मिल रहा था, इसीलिए मैंने काम नहीं किया. और काम नहीं करके कितना कमाए? Zero ही ना, तो इससे अच्छा तो कर लेते. It's rather remain occupied. What's the point of remaining unoccupied? You know, so this is the point I'm trying to tell you, that unless you are not working and you're not generating good work, you will not create employment for people around. All right, then add to that like say take an airport again. So once you develop a good airport, like say Delhi IGI, and it becomes a busy airport, a lot of flights coming in, going out, then you will see many hotels developing in the land around the airport, which is also controlled by GMR. So they give it on lease to a Hilton or to a Marriott or to a Radisson, and these people then start developing this property, creating hotels on it, and people start living in it. Now employment, economic activity, all that starts taking shape. And remember, the waiter working in these hotels, the cleaner working in these hotels, the cook working in these hotels, the person driving the taxi are not people coming from elite section of India. They're all getting jobs now. If you don't let these activities happen, the jobs don't get created, because in any case we are not letting factories happen. फैक्ट्री से तो मैं वैसे ही एवर्जन है कि नहीं कुछ भी हो जाए, मैं इंडिया में फैक्ट्री डेवलप नहीं होने दूंगा, तो ये तो होने दें कम से कम कि लोगों को नौकरी मिले. सो अंडरस्टैंड इट लाइक दैट. एक और फायदा क्या है, एमएलए साहब के ब्रदर इन लॉ को ही कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मिलेगा, ये जरूरी नहीं रहेगा अब. When the places are controlled by the government, a lot of nepotism comes into picture because transparency goes missing. But a private partner will know, especially a private party developing a project, that if I do nepotism, I will lose money and therefore I will go out of business. So there is an interest involved in that. That is the idea. मैं आपको एक inverted story सुनाता हूँ. आप एक story सुन के बड़े होते हैं that private sector will work for profit and public sector will work for not for profit, and therefore public sector will create welfare of the people. I tell you an inverted story. Private sector has the fear of going down if they don't manage their business well. So private sector will work with efficiency, will try treating their people well, because if their people leave them, they cannot work well. While public sector has no fear of going down, they know they can survive on public money, and therefore public sector has less incentive to be efficient than a private sector, even distributionally, because public sector knows that I am within the government control, so nobody can question my distributional pattern, even if I am failing in it. Think about it. Take Indian Railways. Take Indian Port Authority. How have they functioned? वो मत सोचो जो थ्योरी ने सिखाया, वो सोचो जो सच में देखे पिछले 75 साल में इंडिया में. हुआ क्या फाइनली? कि मैं गार्ड हो गया, मुझे बचा लेंगे ऐसा सोचा गया, तो मैं ही इनएफिशिएंट हो गया. मेरी इनएफिशिएंसी का नतीजा क्या हुआ? When I go inefficient, suppose I am Port Authority of India, or I am Indian Railways, or I am Scooters India, any of those, if I go inefficient, now you as government, you have to spend money in me to make sure that you pay for my inefficiency, that money which could have been used for actual welfare of the poor. But you will not close me down, and my inefficiency continues at the cost of others who are not as lucky to have managed a government job. Think about this story also. एक बार मेरे वाइफ यही बता रहे थे भास्कर को, मेरे बड़े बेटे को, पब्लिक सेक्टर इज फॉर वेलफेयर, प्राइवेट सेक्टर इज फॉर प्रॉफिट. तो मैंने यहाँ यही थ्योरी उसको बताई थी. मैंने कहा ये भी होता है, लेकिन भाई ध्यान रखियो कि पब्लिक से ये तो कहानी एक हुई जो सुनाई गई तुम्हें, एक ये दूसरी कहानी मैं सुनाता हूँ. अब तुम देखना इंडिया में क्या हुआ और डिसाइड करना कि क्या सच्चाई होती है. क्योंकि एक तो हुआ थ्योरी में तो हम सब परफेक्ट हैं, एक हुआ प्रैक्टिस में क्या करते हैं. थियोरिटिकली तो मैं सोशलिस्ट आज ही से बन जाऊंगा और तुम्हें कहूंगा दान करो, लेकिन मैं प्रैक्टिस में हूं या नहीं वो तो मेरे एक्टिविटीज बताएंगे, that I'm doing it or not. मेरे results बताएंगे. That is very important. So do not follow the isms as they preach it, follow the isms as they treat it. That's very important. We follow the isms as they preach it. We should follow the isms as they treat it. Preach करना तो सबसे आसान है, treat करना मुश्किल है ना. So please keep that in mind. All right, you take this up then. Next point you write, a benefit again. It can generate funds which can be used. It can generate funds which can be used for developing alternative assets. So I'll give you a simple example. I generate money from toll road and I use it for spending on Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. A private sector will never develop a Gram Sadak Yojana. For that I need government to do it. But a toll road which can connect faster, where money can be paid, if you recall I have already told you this, money can be paid by commercial people and money can be paid by rich people. That money can then be used to develop a Gram Sadak Yojana where rural connectivity can be established. So this is something where you take it from one side, give it to another, and you are developing better equity in that sense. Then you write challenges of NAMP. You wrote 5 benefits, right? Yeah. You write challenges of NAMP. First challenge, you write in that it can result in concentration of resources. It can result in concentration of resources. Okay, before going ahead, I'll just quickly answer there. Sambhavi, you asked me that receipts from debt capital receipts are all borrowings. Debt capital receipt, debt का मतलब ही borrowing होता है. So capital receipts, debt are all borrowings. Rani Kamlapati railway station is public-private partnership. It is monetization also, Ved Prakash, but it is PPP. IR is making a loss due to different reasons, Tanvi. You can give a bonus to employees if your revenue is rising also. That's a good idea, Bhumika, that you are saying. Okay. Then you take this up, you write. So how concentration of resource? Let me just explain it to you, then I make you write the second point. Not by giving asset to same people. अदानी को 6 एयरपोर्ट देने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, या अदानी को 4 पोर्ट देने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. GMR के पास भी 5 एयरपोर्ट हैं. That's not a challenge. You know what can become a challenge? If Adanis are controlling a port, and Adanis also have, say, an Adani Wilmar, which imports commodities of say, consumer goods variety, and suddenly if Adani Wilmar starts getting more concession on Adani ports when they are moving through it, or Adani Wilmar starts getting priority that their product will be transported first or transferred first if it is an Adani port, then that is breach of trust. That is monopolization. And that can create concentration of wealth. I can give you another easy example. Suppose there is an auctioning of oil and gas pipeline, and suppose Reliance Infrastructure Limited wins it. And now Reliance Petrochemicals Limited starts selling in the market, advertising that if you buy from us, then we control the oil and gas pipeline, like our sister company, and you will get priority in transportation of your product. That again is breach of trust. That is monopolistic in nature. So such things can lead to concentration of wealth, and therefore whenever we go for monetization, again we have not done it in India, we should do it. There should be a regulatory body looking after the monetization aspect. That is this monetization going to create a bigger monopoly? Does it have a possibility? And if it has a possibility, it doesn't mean don't give it to the company. It only means keep a watch that it is happening or not happening. So that way you can do your business, but you can keep a watch as to wrong things are happening around you or not. All right, because you should keep a watch. You cannot simply trust and not verify. You trust, but you verify. That's important. Okay, you take the, एक बात मैं भूल गया था आपको बताना, मैं बता देता हूँ, एक announcement था आपके लिए, मैं पढ़ाने में लग गया आपको. Those of you who are appearing economic services, by chance, if you have not got the credentials, you can send your message to Divya ma'am. Divya, you are in the Telegram group, no? Perfect. So she is in the Telegram group. So you can tag her and send a personal message to her, and that will allow you to get a credential in case you have not got it. Because I saw some of you were complaining that the credentials have not reached you. So those of you who are appearing online and have not got the credentials, please send your message to Divya ma'am, and she will be taking care of that. All right. Coming back to this now, you write second challenge. If maintenance and repair clause is not included, if maintenance and repair clause is not included, then it will result in very high loss. It will result in very high loss for the government. That's another challenge. It has happened in India in the past. We have monetized an asset and we didn't include the maintenance and repair clause initially. Then after 3 years, the government changed and they included the maintenance and repair clause by renegotiating the contract. Otherwise, it would have been huge loss because remember, I am leasing out the asset for 25 years, 30 years. So if there is a road or an airport, in any case, their life is 25 years or 30 years only. And if it is entirely used up without a maintenance clause, then I will get back a dilapidated thing. मुझे तो खंडर मिलेगा वापस. तो एक तरह से मैंने बेच ही दिया उसको सस्ते दाम पर. So this is something we should be careful about, that we should not be leasing out without a maintenance and repair clause. Then you write third, if alternative assets are not available, if alternative assets are not available, then it can create exploitation of the poors. For example, if you create a toll road and there is no other alternative road than that toll road, and everybody has to pay the money, then that's exploitation. People should get an option. They want to use the asset or they don't want to use it. And there should be alternative assets. So if alternative assets are not created, it can be exploitative in nature. Then you write one more. The proceeds of monetization can get used for populist activities. I hope that clarifies itself. That I can get the money and now I am using the money for various things rather than uplifting or upgrading the production possibilities. All right. Then you write below that, you give a heading now, you write other industrial reforms in India. So I'm starting something with you today, and I'll teach you this as we go on. What I'm starting is that there was a question in the GS paper, they ask you questions in your optional also at times, that can a market economy be designed in a manner where it can provide inclusiveness or it can provide equity? All right, is it possible to have a market economy which can perform like that? That can it make things equitable? Can it make things inclusive? That is what is asked sometimes. So there is a lot of talk these days, last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, about ESG norms. All right, and that is what we'll talk about. So when we talk about ESG norms, E here stands for environmental protection, E will stand for that, environmental protection. So if you will see the talk on renewable energy, the focus on that, policy focus, the talk on electric vehicles, with FAME 1 and FAME 2. This is about facilitating manufacturing of electric and hybrid vehicles. All right, this is FAME 1 and FAME 2. ये सरकार के स्कीम थे, अभी FAME 2 भी खत्म हो गया है, बट बस आप कोट करने के लिए रख सकते हैं कि कोई आपसे पूछे कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने क्या स्टेप लिया फॉर एनवायरमेंटल अपग्रेडेशन, यू कैन टॉक ऑन दीज दैट ओके गवर्नमेंट हैज इंप्लीमेंटेड अ FAME 1, FAME 2. दिस फॉर facilitating the manufacturing of electric and hybrid vehicles in India. So this has been incentives that have been given. All right, so for electric vehicles, then promotion of green hydrogen. Similarly, use of cleaner technology for firms. Like now we have rules which says that the firms will have to use cleaner technology. I'll give you an example. Automobile companies now producing at BS6. There is a cleaner technology, cleaner emission norms, and so on. Also, you can talk about effluent treatment plants and removal of manual scavenging. I'm just giving you some examples when it comes to environmental protection and the policy steps taken by the government. You can also use the examples I gave you in the budget lecture. For example, promotion of compressed biogas along with CNG and LNG. For example, bringing in Gobardhan, galvanizing and organizing bioagro resources. You understand that? तो आप budget video को देखेंगे उसमें fourth pillar था environment, and we talked a lot about what are the steps taken to promote environment. So you go through that across, and you will see that you will have a lot of examples like these about what has been done in the policy making circles for promoting environmental upgradation. All right, आपके optional mains exam आने से पहले economic survey भी आ जाएगा. So again, in survey every year they give you a lot of insight as to what are the steps taken to promote environmental development in India. But do keep 150 words in your mind, and I will give you that on environmental upgradation and efforts that have been made by the government regarding that. This I am giving you not in the context of holistic environmental upgradation. I am giving you in the context of how government is now incentivizing industries to become environmentally friendly. If you look at all these schemes, these are all related to industrial use of energy, industrial use of technology, industrial use of effluent treatment. You understand that? So how we are incentivizing the industries in India to become more environment friendly. Otherwise, मैं आपसे सूर्योदय मिशन की भी बात करता, जिसकी प्रधानमंत्री ने बात की 22 जनवरी को अबाउट रूफटॉप सोलर हार्वेस्टिंग, या मैं आपसे बात करता अबाउट नेशनल कंजर्वेशन मिशंस की भी, बायोडाइवर्सिटी कंजर्वेशन एंड ऑल, मिष्टी की बात करता, मैनग्रूव रिहैबिलिटेशन, या पीएम प्रणाम की बात करता, लेकिन वो इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड नहीं है. Do I believe I'm reaching you on that? That I am not here mentioning all environmental projects. I'm mentioning those where industries are made more environment friendly and government is making policies to make them more environment friendly. All right. So this is the E part of it. So if we want to grow as a market economy, one thing we need to do is focus on environmental protection. That is the E part of it. Then there is another part that is second, if I can call it, corporate social responsibility, CSR. It has been introduced in the budget in 2011 and it was made a part of Companies Act 2013. Corporate social responsibility introduced in the budget 2011 and made a part of Companies Act 2013. All right, made a part of Companies Act 2013. All right. In the same thing, if we see, so under this act, all companies with minimum turnover of rupees 1,000 crore, net worth of rupees 500 crore, and profit of rupees 5 crore or above will have to give 2% of their profit as CSR. So remember, this is the social responsibility part. All right, under this act, all companies with minimum turnover of 1000 crore, net worth of 500 crore, and profit of rupees 5 crore or above will have to give 2% of their profit as corporate social responsibility. They will have to give 2% of their profit as corporate social responsibility, CSR. Why should they give it? It is said that corporates are institutions, bodies, and they are part of society. So if they give back to society, they will create confidence among people. All right, this is the logic given, that people will be more confident, people will trust the corporate, and they will be willing to then have better business relations with the corporates. So corporates are expected to do this. But remember one thing in this whole story, it is not compulsory for the corporate to do it. Not compulsory. The corporates are expected to do it, but if they do not fulfill their obligation for 3 successive years, they will be answerable to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Corporates are expected to do it, but if they do not do it for 3 successive years, they will be answerable to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. All right, that is what is to be kept in mind. कि corporates के ऊपर कोई binding constraint नहीं है. It is not that the corporates will be forced to do it or forced to contribute. But if they are unable to contribute for 3 successive years, then they will be answerable to Ministry of Corporate Affairs, that why they could not achieve it. Do I believe we are clear on that? Now remember, what is this CSR? What are they, or what are they expected to spend upon? So what they are expected to spend upon is, under CSR, government has defined 11 activities like afforestation, education, women upliftment, sports promotion, etc., which can be directly taken up by corporates, or they can hire an NGO to complete their obligation. If they are unable to do either, then they can contribute to PM Relief Fund. These are the options that they have. That under CSR, government has defined 11 activities like afforestation, education, women upliftment, sports promotion and all. And this can be either directly taken up by corporates, either they do it themselves, or they can hire an NGO which can do it on their behalf, or they can give the money to PM Relief Fund. And in the same thing you write, each company should establish a board, a board for CSR activity, a board, BOARD, for CSR activities with 3 directors. अब ये बोर्ड का काम क्या होगा? ये रिपोर्ट करना कि आपने कितनी एक्टिविटी पूरी की, कितनी नहीं की, क्यों नहीं कर पाए पूरी. The board of directors, this board will be responsible with these 3 directors regarding the CSR activities. And the same thing you write with at least 1 independent director. 3 directors with at least 1 independent director. Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm coming to that. The independent director in any board of directors means an individual who will not be directly related to the company. They will not be the employees of the company, and they will not be the shareholders of the company, but they will be hired on the basis of their expertise. That is why they are independent directors. So they are independent of the company, but they are there because of their expertise. Somebody can be a famous or well established lawyer, or a corporate executive, or a business person, or an accountant, or an economist, anything like that, and they can be hired then as independent director on the corporate board of directors. Do I believe we are clear on that? Okay, now I'll tell you what I'm teaching you, just to clarify it to you. I'll take a minute. I taught you liberalization. I taught you public sector reforms, including privatization. What I'm trying to teach you now is other industrial reforms. I'm moving towards industries now, and other industrial reforms that we have done in India in the last 9-10 years. Apart from the industrial reforms about which you have written, like delicensing, de-reserving the public sector, reforming the public sector, removing administered price mechanism, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act, these are all industrial reforms. I am trying to teach you, except for these, what else are we doing to change the character of industries in India and to make India a market economy which can have equitable distribution. So if we do E, environment, S, social responsibility, and then G, governance. You write that as third. You write corporate governance. Corporate governance. And that is ESG. Now see, when we talk about corporate governance, the idea is practicing ethics in running a corporate body. That is corporate governance. That you run a corporate body ethically. You follow not only the rules, but also the correct methods of doing business. You are responsible not only to the large shareholders and owners, but also responsible to small shareholders, workers, creditors, and you let the company run on that basis. That is what is called corporate governance. All right. So you just write the definition. I'll keep you till there today, and we will begin from here. I want to go through CG a little bit more in detail. I'll teach you few more things just to put it across to you. I'll teach you few more things related to these, like ESG norms I'm teaching you. After having taught you these, I'll take you also into the rise and restrictions that we can impose on crony capitalism in India. This is a question that UPSC has asked twice about crony capitalism. So what is crony capitalism and why does it develop? How can we stop it? We will do all those talks. I'm talking about tomorrow, so that you can also do some brainstorming. And I will talk to you about why industrial growth in India got limited and why services sector growth became higher. So what were the reasons that industries didn't grow in India and services grew so much in India? All right, that will help us in almost finishing industries. So my idea is that we, and in that I'll teach you a lot of, like say, PLI and all, we will do in that. All right, that what are the steps we have taken and so on. I will also in totality teach you what are structural reforms and how we can go about them. So we'll go into all that. So I'm taking you in that direction at the moment, just to tell you that which direction we are moving towards. Yes, yes. Okay, yes, I can. So from 2013 till 19, only 58% companies were fulfilling their CSR obligations. But in the last 3 years, 22 to 24, we have seen around 76% companies now fulfilling their CSR obligation. So it has shown a better trend in the last few years. I need you to just write a thing then. You give a heading, corporate governance, put a dash and write, this means that the private corporate or public sector registered in Companies Act will take steps to manage the firm with high ethical standard, comma, without compromising the benefits of small shareholders, comma, workers and creditors, full stop. The objective is to assure better trust between the company and other functionaries, in the economy. It requires board of directors to be transparent in their decision making. And you write a line where we'll stop on that. You write, it has been introduced under Companies Act. It has been introduced under Companies Act 2013 with following clauses. So we'll begin with these clauses tomorrow and then we talk about further discussions as I see you. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock then. No, all three are necessary, Mahendra. Thank you, Divyanshi. Thank you. Bye-bye, Tikesh. So thank you all of you online. I see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock then.